All right, let's do this thing. What is up, everybody, and welcome. Another Thursday night live stream here on Drums and Drams. Let me get set up here. Looks like StreamYard added a little feature. Not something we can use today, but next time I have a guest on, you can display their title. Ooh. That means we can bring Trev on, and it can say Trev Wilson, and his title doesn't say the Bourbon Wrench. It'll just say Nerd. All right, what's up, guys? So I got to get a first pour something in my glass before we kick this thing off. You can see we've got a couple very different things to taste tonight. And, of course, you know, we can kind of take this any direction we want to if things start popping up in the chat. One thing that I've been kind of enjoying recently here with these Thursday night live streams is the opportunity to, well, kind of, what's the word? Improvise a little bit, like have 2 to 4 things that I know I want to taste and check out that I can really kind of focus on, and then from there just either call it at like 90 minutes, a little shorter stream, or things start popping up, we want to do comparisons, and you can kind of riff on that. It's a little more fun that way than having like a million things to do and not getting through all of them, which, you know, has kind of been traditionally maybe how I've done it. So, yeah, I think tonight the goal for the stream is for me to be, you know, in and out of here 90 minutes. I said that last time. It ended up being a full 2 hours, although it felt shorter last time, I think, with the Pappy, because it was, again, like a little more of a focused tasting, at least during parts of the stream, and I really like that. So, anyways, say hello if you're popping in here in the chat. If you're a whiskey person, a music person, a symphony person, you know, whoever's checking this out tonight, hello to all of you. I'll check the chat here in just a second. But I'm going to start with something. Hit that like button, please, on the way in, by the way. But I'm going to start with something here that, you know, I've tasted before, and you guys know this bottle, right? It's Matt Porter's blend, the ADHD Whiskey Bardstown blend. I wanted to retaste it for a few reasons. Number one, I felt like it was a little closed off when I first opened the bottle. This thing's gotten some air. It's had some time. I'm going to check it out again. But also, I just want to quickly shout Matt Porter out, okay? You guys know him. If you're new to this, if you're somehow stumbling upon this live stream as your first whiskey content, whether on the replay or live right now, then you better go subscribe to ADHD Whiskey. But he released another one of his whiskey and weight loss videos today. And, of course, what he's doing is awesome, you know, and everybody's been supporting him and saying, you know, just kind of showing some love to Matt. And I'm showing the love too, but I want to focus on something else, which is the fact that he put out that video today, and it was like 16 minutes long, and he just ranted. And I'm going to tell you what, as somebody who feels like, I mean, Matt's a friend of mine. We're not like besties, although we would be besties if he lived in Columbus. He just lit up in that video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. He just lit up. And it was like, he just spoke from the heart for like 15 minutes. And it's not like he doesn't do that regularly, but he's talking about whiskey, and there's kind of that going on. He just spoke about his frustrations, what he's been going through. I don't know, man. It just, like, I got a little emotional watching him because it was just like, here's Matt just lighting up and speaking from the heart, and I don't know. I don't know about you guys. And if you haven't checked it out, go check it out, whether you want to do it right now or after the stream, whenever. But I don't know. I just wanted to shout Matt out. Say cheers to him. I don't know if he's in here right now, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. He was enthusiastic. Yeah, Daniel, I see that. He said great enthusiasm. But it was a little bit more to me than just that. Like, it was just so personal, so kind of vulnerable, and his frustrations, you know, talking about this fitness influencer guy. I don't know, man. It as a teacher, it reminded me of like when you have like a student who just lights up about something, you know. I know Matt's older than me. I'm not talking about him in a student kind of way. It's just reminded me of that moment when you're teaching somebody and they light up and you're like, yes, you know, and there's like that passion. So it was just cool to see Matt in that light, man. So I just wanted to say, you know, cheers to him. Cheers to you guys. And I'll kick off with a little bit of his Bardstown blend here. So enough of that. Enough ranting about that. All right. That's my first sip of whiskey for the day, so let's let the stomach acid kind of start churning a little bit, and then I'll take a second sip and get into it. But what is up? Unipoke is here. Paul Graham, $20, man. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Guys, there's not going to be a giveaway tonight, but of course, I've got the banner up down here. You know, the best thing you can do is like and subscribe to the channel, and if you want to throw in a couple bucks on a super chat, I would really appreciate it. But no giveaway tonight. We're just hanging out. We're just tasting some good and some not so good whiskey. We'll talk about everything we're tasting here in just a second. Gary Franchi, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. JG as well. Travis, hey, Travis and I were going back and forth, guys, and on Facebook a little bit today, and I'll talk about that in just a second. I actually pulled out a bottle to remind me to talk about what we were talking about earlier, Travis, so get to that in a second. Michael S., are you schlammered? Paul says, long time gone, I've missed your show. Paul, I've missed you, man. Hope you're okay. Hope you're doing well. So Matt's blend here has gotten a lot sweeter. Like, significantly sweeter. It's all in a good way. Jeff Perkins, cheers. Hope everyone's sipping something good. I also hope that. Mitch Harden, maybe a new name, Mitch. I don't know that I've seen your name in the chat. If I've missed you, I apologize, but welcome if it's maybe your first time. Happy Friday Eve. Maybe you've been lurking, or maybe I stink, and maybe you've been in here quite a bit. If so, I apologize. I do my best. John, what's up, man? Let's see, guys. I'm going to keep going here. Eric is sipping on some Magnus Cigar Blend Batch 38. Nice. A nice early batch. DC sharing the ADHD whiskey link. Yeah, Latte Dad says ADHD video was epic and it made a lot of sense. I think so, too. Matt was on fire. Yeah, here we go. I'm getting to the comments about Matt here. Cheers, Richie. Good to see you. Yeah, Daniel, passion is probably a better word. I enjoyed the passion he showed. Yeah, passion, man. He really spoke from the heart, I thought. Let's see. I'm going to just keep scrolling. Holy shnikes, Paul Graham. Dude, thank you. Paul, man. $100 super chat, and here I am just rambling, man. I'm contributing nothing right now. Thank you, Paul. Oh my gosh, man. I'm going to say cheers to that one. I appreciate you, Paul. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, Paul, hope you're doing okay, man. Fully understand life's challenges sometimes. When hopes, plans, and dreams collapse, sun shall rise again. Yes, the sun shall rise again, man. As Matt said, one thing at a time, one small step at a time, he said in his video. I really thought that was cliche, but for a reason. It's important, you know. It's really important. Awesome, Gary. Yeah, let me know what you think of it, man. I'm going to give a few notes on it here in just a second. Tony Mendoza popped an Old Fitz 19. It's good. It's good. To me, it's over oaked, but that doesn't mean it's not good. It's like, if I found one at retail, I'd be buying it. If I found it $100 over retail, I'd be buying it. Anything more than that, it's like, if I bought it, I would just be buying it to trade it, essentially. Because I do like the 17 better. And when Matt, actually speaking of Matt, on his channel, I think last week when he did that blind, the 17 beat out the 19 and the new double-barreled Parker's Heritage, which I thought was kind of funny. Because I was in the chat going, I like the 17 better. And then the 17 popped up as the winner. It was like, oh, snap. That's awesome. All right, so let me get a couple notes on this ADHD whiskey blend. Paul Graham, dude, I'm going to put this back on the screen, man. Thank you. Oh, my God, thank you. Jeez. This episode is dedicated to Paul Graham. This live stream. This is Paul's live stream here. So, Matt Porter's, so his blend, like I said, it's gotten a little sweeter on the nose. Like, it's starting to get into some more vanilla notes. Before, I remember it being kind of closed off. Heavy orange, like citrus going on in here. It's definitely spicier than it was sweet. Kind of some young oak type notes. Not nearly as off-putting as some of the toasted barrel stuff hitting the market these days. But now it's opened up into this kind of vanilla. It reminds me of like an older MGP bourbon. Like it's kind of developing that in that direction, I would say, with air. Yeah, and actually some honey going on here. Lighter caramels, but like kind of a nice, rich honey note, which I like. And the palate is so spicy. It drinks overproof, which is nice. Yeah. Huge cinnamon on the palate. Kind of a brighter, like red hot type cinnamon. Or atomic fireball, I should say, like a fireball kind of cinnamon. Not like a big aromatic spice note. It's good. It's good. I like that it's continuing to get sweeter with time. Here's a good question. What glass do you use for your tastings? This glass, if you guys look in the description of this video, I actually started putting my glassware just... It's not an Amazon affiliate link. It's literally just a list of the primary 4 glasses that I use. And this one is, I think, the first one in that list, which is... yeah, if you just type in whatever it says to Amazon, you'll find these things. But I believe it's the very first one. Jacob says, I tagged you in Fight Club for a good price on Wild Turkey 12. If you'd like Russell's 13, you like this too. So, Jacob, thank you. I don't know how I missed that tag, by the way, but I'll say this. I actually have one on the way, thanks to Dustin. I don't know if Dustin's in the chat right now, but Dustin P is sending me one over. It should be here Saturday. Tomorrow, I know, I'll tell you what we're going to be tasting. It's been 15 minutes, and I'm still just... what am I even doing? But tomorrow I should have Elijah Craig A123. And obviously on tonight's stream, I'm going to taste Larceny A123. Paul says, you contribute a shit ton to my life. Thank you for the joy you add to my soul. Paul, thank you, man. Again, I hope you're okay. I hope you're doing well, man. And I can't say enough about how much I appreciate your support. Dude, it means so much. Yes, Richie, that's the glass I'm using. Stolzle? I don't know how you say it. Damn, John got an Old Fitz 17, man. Great win on that raffle. Very cool. Sugar Kitty says, Atomic Fireball, Cinnamic Aldehyde. Lito, what's up? Todd, thanks for stopping by, man. Just got home from work, UPS driver. Glad you're on tonight. Yes. Should be on every Thursday this month, unless I need a week off. There could be a week off here one of these weeks, but my plan for now is to be live for every Thursday this month. All right, so let's talk about what the stream is. Enough yapping. So what did I call it on the thumbnail? I think I said epic, awful, and new. Epic because we have this. Come on. Zoom focus. Let's do it. George T. Stagg 2022. The main man, YPC, Yung-Pei Chang. Young sent this my way. And I've already had a little bit off the top. Got to save enough for a review. So tonight I'm going to have like one sip of this George T. Stagg 2022. And that, as the thumbnail said, that's the epic pour for tonight. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you that much. So we'll get into it. Awful. So for some reason, I've been seeing an influx of posts. I mean, you always see posts about people trashing Willett pot still, or people like in Facebook groups just getting into bourbon. They're like, how'd I do? And they picked one of these up probably for over SRP. I actually saw, and when I was getting married in Colorado, the place, the lodge or whatever we were staying at, resort, whatever you call it, on the bar, they had Pappy's, they had George T. Stagg, and then on the same shelf, they had Willett pot still. It was the greatest scam the world has ever known. But I was like, you know what? This has been on the bottom shelf of a basement shelf, tucked in a corner. I grabbed it. I had to dust this thing. I'm like, let's taste Willett pot still. And I feel like the recipe or the blend, or I don't know, something has changed since 2020 when I got this. Maybe I thought I heard something about that. And along those same lines, me not being the biggest Willett fan, I thought let's revisit Noah's Mill because it's been a long time since I've tasted Noah's Mill. A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. Again, it's an older batch, probably 2020, maybe 2021. I thought, let's go ahead and get into this thing and see what's going on. And then in terms of new bottles, Larceny A123. Going to taste this tonight, give kind of some first impressions. I've had a little bit already, and sometimes when I do that, I kind of already know what I'm going to say about it unless it has drastically changed. I don't know what I'm going to say about A123. I've sipped it twice already, and I just can't get a read on it. So we'll find out tonight. All right. Yeah, Travis, it's nice as a lamp. There you go. Travis, I've never had Dry State. I actually had the opportunity to purchase Dry State when it first hit shelves, and I saw it sitting there, and I was really tempted because I thought it was going to be epic, and I'm really glad I did not spend $1,000 on it because, the reviews came out, and they were like, this ain't it. Oh, Darrell's in the house, man. What's up, Darrell? Darrell, the reason for the Michter's 20 video right there. I watched my video back, Darrell, and I was like, man, I don't think I was... I know I said in the video that it's really good whiskey and probably top 10, just not top 3 or top 5. But I kind of came away from the video after I rewatched it, and I was like, I almost gave the impression that I didn't like the Michter's 20, and I was like, oh no, I hope throughout my editing, I didn't cut out too much of when I kind of talked about it and tried to put it into context. I think maybe I over-edited some of what I said in that one. Okay. So before I get into some of these crazy little Willett products, here's what I want to do. I got this from a guy in a trade. I got an open bottle of a Nashville Barrel Company pick. It's just a 5-year bourbon pick. And I think I've tasted this once before, but I was looking at my shelf today and I was like, a lot of people are doing picks from Nashville Barrel Company these days. And they always say, oh man, the stuff tastes older than it is. And so I thought, let's do a quick little sip of this 5-year Nashville Barrel Company, presumably MGP. Yep, distilled in Indiana. And again, presumably the 21% rye bourbon mash bill. Let's take a sip of this real quick. I just want to see what's going on with NBC, and at the same time, I know nowadays they're sourcing other stuff. They're sourcing younger Kentucky distillate, which I don't know where that's from. Maybe you guys know. I would assume Bardstown Bourbon Company, some of the newer stuff, because I think they're sourcing some of it out. But I don't know. I really have no idea, so that would just be a guess from me. Yeah, oh yeah, Darrell, it's very good. I just felt like the edit, I actually had 2 takes of the Michter's 20 video. The first take, I got halfway through it, and I just stopped and restarted again because it just wasn't going so well, but there was actually some good stuff in that take, so I was trying to splice the 2 together in the edit, and I think I lost some stuff in the process just to make the flow of the video work. Thank you, Richie. Hit that like button, guys. So let's try this Nashville Barrel Company pick real quick. It's from the Whiskey Throttle Honey Hole. Okay. And let me know your experience with Nashville Barrel Company, guys. I know Mash and Journey did some picks that people regard as pretty legendary. Houdini, I believe, and some other maybe Dr. Pepper, Cherry Dr. Pepper. I can't remember what it was called, but just wanted to try this out. Smells very good. It smells like buttercream. Cinnamon stick, buttercream. Almost like butter, little like, well, I wouldn't say butter pecan. I would say buttercream because it's not really particularly nutty. Travis says 5-ish year old, $90 and under. Oh, here. There's another NDP here in Nashville. Wheeler's Ray. They're doing magic with MGP by double barreling it. They have 5-year cask strength sherry finished toasted honey rye. Interesting. Interesting. I actually haven't heard of them. Yeah, this Nashville Barrel Company's good. Pretty big cherry note on this. I might even say strawberry, actually. Lighter red fruit. But the palate is humongous. Holy crap. Wow. The nose was fine. The nose smelled like good 5-year bourbon. The palate on that is That's very good stuff. Wow. Bogies and Barrels just jumped in. How are the Larcenys? We have not gotten to the Larcenys yet. I think we're 21 minutes in and we've accomplished next to nothing. That's on me. But we're going to get to A123 basically, and I pulled out C922 as well. So Jeff likes Houdini. He said it was great, and a couple of Sealbox Nashville picks that were tasty. Joe, I totally miss getting Stagg Jr., and that's the Kentucky stuff. So I was just kind of curious where that might have been sourced from. Excuse me. Yeah, the nose on this Nashville Barrel Company, it's kind of not doing it for me, actually, as I come back to it. It's a little bit musty, a little bit like damp, like musty basement kind of note on here. And, of course, it's not going to be corked because it's a synthetic cork, but kind of has that little bit of a sweaty sock, musty basement note on the nose. And that kind of blends in with the buttercream note. And on some MGP, that buttercream note can turn a little even funkier to like a root beer float, sassafras, these kinds of notes. Or, not sassafras, sorry, sarsaparilla. So fine, but if this were an overpriced 5-year bourbon, I think I'd pass. Of course, it's a single barrel, so I'm sure all of them are different, and especially the new Kentucky stuff I would love to try. But that's gonna be a miss for me tonight. Yeah, especially when you put it next to Matt's. You put it next to Matt's Bardstown blend, which actually has a little bit of a bacon fat note to it. It's nice. Yeah, that smacks the crap out of the Nashville Barrel Company. All right. Yeah, taste the C922. Guys, I'm going to tell you this. Let's get into the Larceny stuff right now. This is the order of events. We're going to do the Larcenys. So we'll do the new stuff first. And then we'll do the two Willets. We'll get these out of the way in the middle of the stream, and then I will taste the George T. Stagg 2022, but I'm gonna do it at the end. Okay, I won't make you wait too long, but like it won't be the very last thing we do on the stream. I'm sure we'll sit and talk and do some comparisons or whatever else afterwards. But I think I did Pappy 15 first last week, so I'm gonna make you wait on the George T. Stagg just a little bit. Oh, John's got a honey hole for in Minnesota for some Nashville Barrel Company picks. Nice. Richie, I think I've heard of Copper and Cask. Okay. Jeff, I'm sure. I'm going to do the Willets before the GTS, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Good point, though. What's up, Roy R? Getting a text message here. I want to make sure it's not an emergency. Oh, no, it's not an emergency. Okay. Cool. So let's get into this now. Let's get into some Larceny A123. Get a fresh glass for it. All right. And I'll do a rinsed glass for the C922. Dustin, what's up, man? You freaking troll, dude. Evil. 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 Let Let me give you the proof here on Larceny A123, 125.8 or 62.9% ABV. Let's go to some different music. Again, still need to make more playlists. So let's just basically round this to 63% ABV, 126 proof more or less for the A123. And the C922 is a little bit higher, 126.6. Now, full disclosure to you guys, I do not like Larceny barrel proof most of the time. C922, I just got a backup bottle of this thing. I can't keep my hands off of it. I think it was one of my most memorable pours of 2022. And that's not to say that I put it next to King of Kentucky and other 2022 releases and did a side-by-side and it beat them out. No, I never did that this year. What I mean is just that I couldn't keep my hands off of it. I kept coming back. I kept drinking this thing. It's still young whiskey, but it's the best Larceny barrel proof by a freaking mile. All right? I got to turn on Do Not Disturb. I'm getting too many dings in my ear from my phone. So that's my setup for C922. I'm not going to taste that first. I'm going to taste A123 first, just to try to get the truest, most honest read on this thing without being comparative until I'm going to be comparative. Amy. Lucy's doing better. We took her to the vet again today just to follow up on the emergency visit. Now, she's on antibiotics. We had to drug her up to get her in the vet today. She's definitely feeling better. She's kind of coming down off of her gabapentin, basically, which is what we had to give her. So she's coming down from that, kind of starting to come to a little bit more. All right. Okay, so Larceny A123. It's just, I feel like we're kind of, in some ways, taking a step back. Again, haven't compared it yet, but why I'm saying that is because there's a really big dose of ethanol on the nose of A123. But there is a huge amount of red fruit in here, and I don't think I'm used to getting a lot of. I'm thinking back to all the different batches. I think I mostly have the batches in terms of tasting notes pretty well memorized. It gets a little murky in the like A122, B522 range. I cannot think of another batch that is as fruity as I'm getting on A123 right now. Like, yes, there's still a little bit of a youthful wood / sawdust note on here. And that ethanol. But there's so much red fruit. So I would probably put this in the camp of like, yeah, dark cherry. I would put it in the dark cherry. It's not really like in the berry world or the strawberry. It's definitely not light enough to be kind of strawberry notes. Yeah, burnt orange, burnt caramel, dark cherry, a little bit of sawdust, tons of brown sugar pie crust notes. And the more I sit with it and kind of get acclimated to the alcohol punch on the nose, the more I like this thing. And as I swirled it, I got a little bit of, what's that kind of chocolate that has the orange in it? You know what I'm talking about? Kind of like the fancy chocolate bars with orange in it, orange flavor or, something like that. That's what I'm getting right now after I swirl it, get some air into it. But I'm a little disappointed because there's that big punch of ethanol, and it's actually lower in proof than the C922. So when I go to the C922 in a second, I'm going to be kind of curious to see maybe that actually has as much ethanol. I'm not sure. Wow. That's a hot biatch. Yeah, that even drinks over 125.8. I mean, that drinks hot. That's definitely a knock on the A123. It smells hot and it drinks hotter. And There's a little bit of peanut on the nose, but it's definitely not. It's not to the point, and I'm very sensitive to peanut notes. It's not off-putting on the nose. The palate gets nuttier, and the palate actually gets more chocolatey, kind of like I was getting on the nose there at the end. Tons of chocolate on the palate, you know, Snickers bar notes. Oh my God. It doesn't even get easier to drink on the second sip. Wow. Wow. I don't think... I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I could sit down and drink a whole glass of A123. Like, completely honest, I like hazmat whiskey as much as the next person. That is so freaking hot. If you are a proof hound, a proofstitute, whatever, okay, A123 might be your jam, because to me, that's hitting me like almost a hazmat. It is... The finish is not going to stop. Okay. Wow. Dustin, I've got an ECBP that's going to be getting here, I believe, tomorrow. It shipped from Indiana today, so it should be a one-day trip. So next week's live stream should have that Elijah Craig barrel proof on it. Yeah. Wow, that is so insane. The finish is still going. Wow. Okay. I gotta calm down. It's kind of like novel in a way that it's drinking like that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, to be honest with you. Jeez. Top dog, hey man. I think it's hotter than Booker's. I think this batch, well, maybe I should... If you guys remember Tagalong batch, which one was that? Was that 2021-02? I think it was 2021-02. Had the bright green label. Tagalong batch was like stupid hot Booker's. This is like Tagalong batch in terms of hotness. Let's see. Richie Z. Are you trying any craft bottles to prep for Matt Madness? Might come in handy. I haven't really been doing a lot of training, Richie, and I need to kind of get on that. Speaking of which, guys, on Sunday I was supposed to go up against Matt on It's Bourbon Night, but his samples did not arrive in time, so we had to push that back to February 19th, which is a Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So Matt and I will be going on It's Bourbon Night, but just 2 weeks later because of that shipping delay. And I believe on Tuesday, I mean, Dan and Sean have still not emailed me back, but we tentatively were talking about February 21st being on the Bourbon Junkies channel. I just don't know yet. I'm going to maybe send them one more message and then, you know, just kind of give up if they don't get back to me. I know they're busy, but okay. Sugar Kitty, last week Sugar had to have a tooth pulled, not happy. Yeah, that doesn't sound like she'd be happy. Jacob, let's go to C922 now, and then I'll do a comparison to A123. Oh my God, the nose on C922. Did it need time for air? Yes, I think all of the Larcenys do, but I do remember, like, when I popped C922, I was like, this is not perfect, but this is the best, I mean, pretty easily. And, Jacob, you know, the one thing I would say, one thing that opened my eyes, I was trying to think about what notes are actually in C922 that make it great. Like, why do I like it so much? Why, even though it's still has some Larceny barrel-proof tendencies of things I don't like, why do I keep coming back to it? I think just think about waffles and syrup. Waffles and maple syrup. That's like the best way I can put it. It's so dark. Doesn't have it's a little bit of a bitter sweetness, and it's super, super dark. Yeah, I would just say waffle syrup, chocolate, heavy caramel. Like crazy caramel drizzle notes. And DC, you're right. If you're going to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. I guess I'm the champ right now, but to me, the champ is Matt Porter. So I got to beat him on It's Bourbon Night because he stomped me last time. Oh, God. I'm so behind in the chat. Sorry, guys. Wow. C922 on the nose. Fantastic. Let's do a side-by-side with A123. Yeah, A123. This, to me, is a step back. Although, I think C922 was a giant leap forward. So if you take a step back here on A123, I still think we're net positive, and maybe B523, that's what the batch would be. Maybe batch B523 will push forward a little bit more. Because in this comparison, back and forth, the C922 makes the A123 kind of smell silly. Like, it just smells like a typical Larceny barrel-proof batch. But it's kind of not fair, because C922 is just... I don't know what happened with this blend, but it's so good. Wow. Yeah, that's so good. Oh my God. Paul, it legitimately might be hotter than Coy Hill. Like, that's a funny comparison, but I think I'm going to do it. It's a little bit of an unfair comparison, given that Coy Hill is actually over 140 proof. At least this one is. And the flavor, it's just so dense flavor-wise. Well, let's just see real quick. A123 Larceny, which I said drinks like a hazmat, so I might be eating my words. I don't know. So this is Larceny. It's got some zip. It's got some zing. I'm going to let my palate calm down just a little bit before I take the Coy Hill, or else I might melt. Paul Madden says, I drank the A123 last week and didn't think it drank hot. I don't know, man. I think we can maybe agree to disagree on this one, because the last two times I've had the A123, that was my biggest comment, is like, oh, well, maybe it's just kind of closed off. Maybe it just needs some air to open up. But all the while it was hot. And now I'm starting to feel like, no, I think maybe this is just a really hot batch. Mark Emmenecker, what's up? Cheers to you. All right. All right, so the Coy Hill is, I think it's a little hotter, but in a different way. I'm going to stand by this. The Coy Hill, because it's a fuller profile, more full-flavored, full-bodied especially, lots of like viscosity, big mouthfeel. The alcohol on that spreads around the palate more. It's a little bit more enveloping and mouth coating. So then it reads hot in that way because it's everywhere. Whereas the Larceny A123, it's just like tip of your tongue and, you know, Kentucky hug and tip of your tongue. It just sits there and just, it's like a fire. So they're honestly kind of comparable in terms of intensity. Ooh. So I think, you know, if Larceny C922, if I had to give it like a grade, I would probably give it a super high B+ or like an A-. I love C922. And what I mean also more specifically, I guess, is that in the context of the Larceny barrel proof line, it's definitely the highest point for me. And so, is it an A minus if a King of Kentucky is an A minus? No, I'm not talking kind of bird's eye view objective scores in this case. I'm just saying, to me, it's an A minus with what I would expect a Larceny barrel proof, 7 to 9 year blend. What I would expect from that, or 6 to 8 year, whatever it is. And in that context as well, I would say that the A123 is like a B minus because it's just too alcoholic and it covers up some of the flavor notes. There are some really nice redeeming qualities in it. So don't get me wrong on that. I do think we are generally trending towards good things for Larceny barrel proof, but I just think A123, it's going to be hard to live up to C922 with that big of a jump. But again, I'm not saying A123 is bad. It doesn't remind me as much of like the A120s, the B520, the fact that Whiskey Advocate gave it Whiskey of the Year, that was like, maybe I shouldn't have been taking them seriously before that. I don't think I ever really participated in any of their content or read any of their stuff. But after seeing that, I'm like, get out of here. Get the hell out of here. You cannot be taken seriously. Similarly, Jack Daniel's Bonded, no. It's a bunch of nonsense. We can all kind of agree on that. But the Larceny B520, like that era of Larceny barrel proof to me is not good. And I don't think this is quite back to that level. C922, insane. It's buttery too. Like, going back to the nose on C922, it just smells like butter. Derek, absolutely. B520 ECBP was just a good drinking bourbon, C920 had like that special factor to it. B520 was just balance and drinkability on that one. See a lot of people in agreement that C922 is really good. Roscoe, having A123, I don't think it's hot. Reminds me of Ugadale with the fruits. Yeah, I mentioned those fruit notes earlier. Lots of red fruit in there for me. But I do think it's a little hot. Travis, yeah, my favorite was easily the high rye. The side-by-side's tough because of the proof thing. Because the bottled and bond wheater drinks over 100 proof. So it really feels like you're comparing 96 proof high rye to like 105 proof wheater. And so a lot of people just go to the higher proof thing. Naturally. I understand that. To me, separate proof from flavor and balance in those things, I think the high rye wins. So I would imagine at barrel strength, the high rye would be just pretty wild. I'm kind of scrolling back here, y'all. Okay, let's see. Bogey says C922 crushed C920. Yeah, that's an easy one, I think. C920 was just sawdust. Paul, drinking Frey Ranch single barrel cast strength rye. That is a new one that I've seen floating around that I would love. I would love to try that. Although I think secondary, I think people are flipping those things now on secondary, which kind of sucks. Better than Thomas Handy, I would imagine that. Gotta drive to BF, Nevada to get it. Eric liked the A123. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just not C922. And a lot of times that ends up being a big point of contention, We all start finding outlier batches of ECBP, of Larceny, and then it almost becomes not fair to compare every other batch to that one, We kind of give those things a pass. We're like, okay, C922 is an outlier, so let's remove it from the discussion. Yes and no. I don't know. ECBP is the same way. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Amy says throw a little water in it. Let's see. Okay, I gotta be real careful with this. I always overwater. I need to get a freaking pipette. Come on. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. It's like 2 drops of water. I wish I could zoom in real quick on the camera. Make that a little more suspenseful. Yeah, Richie, you got that butter note in the C922, man. That's a special, that's a special whiskey. Peter, yeah, don't open Larceny A120. Save that for like 20 years, and maybe it'll be worth something because it was the first release. I'm not even joking about that. Okay, the water may have really helped the Larceny A123. Ashton, what's up? Cam, looks like you found your Larceny Barrel Proof King of the Mountain. Yes. Do you have a favorite non-pirate / pirate ECBP batch? Yes. I want to do an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof shootout. I really want to do one of those. I think Matt did one year and a half ago. So I have every batch in the current bottle of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, plus the batch 11 pirate bottle. In terms of pirate bottles, I haven't tried that many. I think I've only tried batch 11 and 12 and possibly batch 10. But if I did, I can't remember it. So batch 11 for me is my favorite. And batch 12 actually reminded me of B517 for some reason. There's kind of this grassy, green grassy note in B517 that I got on batch 12. I would say my 3 favorite batches that come to mind in the current bottling, A117 I think is insane. A119, I actually really like A119. It's kind of weird. There's kind of a funky note in it. But probably over A119, I would say C919. I've always loved C919. Got a couple backups. A couple backups of A119 and a couple backups of A117. So that's kind of where I'm putting my money on those. A117 I love because it tastes like a Dusty. It's got that dusty note. It's a little bit out of balance. There's a little bit too much ethanol, even at 127. Yeah, I think it's 127 proof. Even at that proof, it's just a little out of balance with ethanol. Oh, Daniel, that's a life hack. I don't know why I have never done that. I cannot imagine why I've never done that. There we go. Travis said it too. Okay. You have to add a little water to A123. The fruit explodes out of the glass. Wow. Wow. Still a little proofy on the palate, but if that's as good as it gets, that's a really huge step up with just like 2 drops of water in there. So if you have A123 Larceny, try your hand at proofing it down just a little bit. Don't overdo it. Travis, I think I paid $100 for it with shipping. So that's basically $20 over MSRP. Yeah, because I think they're going for about $60. Every time I see them on the shelf, I think they're $60. So probably about $20 over MSRP. Let's say $15 because of tax, realistically. And then $20 shipping, which is pretty average shipping cost. Yeah, I got it secondary because I don't think it's hit in Ohio, and I wanted to get it and be able to try it. So what would I comfortably pay for A123 specifically? I would want to go $70 at the most. C922, $100. Easy. Like, I think it's a $100 bottle of whiskey. Again, it's imperfect, but if you... Yeah, I don't know. I just think I like it. It's hard to remove myself subjectively from that one. Like, it actually kind of smells a little dusty. Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly not the oldest on the nose, but it has that A117 Elijah Craig Barrel Proof note in it. So I'm probably gonna buy 2 more backups of this because I just think it's incredible. John Cloud, what's up, man? These are not here yet. Not seen them hitting here yet. Plus, we just had the distributor change in the state, I think. So the Heaven Hill limited stuff has been a little bit late in Ohio recently. A couple years ago, it was really we would get that stuff early. Now we're not getting it early. So Indiana right now, John, is getting quite a bit of it. Yeah. And I don't know about like West Virginia, Kentucky. I think Indiana's probably your best bet. I saw like Walmart shelves. I saw pictures of Walmart shelves on Facebook full of that stuff. So Derek's got a sample of the Frey single barrel bourbon. Don't have a rye. I have one of the bourbons, but it's so young. Paul actually sent it to me. It's just a little bit young. The current bottlings, I think, are maybe a couple years older. So, oh, I didn't know we were going to get it in Ohio. That's very cool. Joe, nice man. Parker's Heritage from the UPS man today. Looking forward to opening it up. Yeah, that's very curious about that double-barreled. I can't pull the trigger on secondary without having tasted it. You know, it's like $600 or something like that. Okay, I'm going to take one more sip of C922 because, geez Louise. So good. Pipe. Lido. I put that on the screen and I didn't read it. Pipe that fun. Thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. That's funny. I think you spelled it right. I think. Dustin, C919, A117 are killer. Yep. C919, I still need... I would like to get 2 more backups. I'd like to get 2 more of A117 as well. I think I only have 1 unopened backup of A117. And those things are getting pricier secondary-wise. So, Jacob, oh my God, man. Oh. I would probably pay up to $200 for an A117. I think it's that good. What's up, Jeffrey Wack? Joe is seeing A123 ECBP in grocery stores in Indy. There you go. So Peter, not Peter, it was John Cloud that said it. There's your answer, John. Looks like maybe a road trip to Indy if you want to get it soon. I paid $110 for my Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A123 to get it shipped to me. So not a bad upcharge to not go stand in line or drive out of state and hunt for it. Okay, I got to keep moving on here. I do own basic Larceny, Richie. I have it behind me. And I don't have a standard pick. I had a standard pick I gave to my friend. I thought it was fine. Yeah, I'm not that impressed. Well, I don't know. Regular Larceny is actually pretty decent. Especially when I put it next to like the new Bardstown Weeder. I thought Larceny was better. And half the price. That's a funny line. Welcome to the wood shop. Okay, let's get the Larcenys out of here. Let's get these out of here. Let's move on to the real main event. Before I get there, I'm going to finish off the rest of the Coy Hill I poured a second ago. Oh my God, it smells insane. It's so good. Little Larceny blend here. I'm not using new glasses for these 2 Willett things. We're going to speed through this Willett portion. But I just think some of these bottles that I've written off, even if they do suck objectively, I want to go back and just get them on my palate and refamiliarize myself. And I think it's just an important thing to do to continue developing your palate, your sense memory, all that kind of stuff. One sec. I thought I heard Sarah make some, I thought she was puking and making a weird noise. She just hiccuped weird, she said. All right, gotta clear these glasses. So for those of you still in here, there's like over 90. Thank you so much for hanging out. Please hit that like button. Especially, I know we're getting to that time where other channels are going to start going live for the 9 o'clock slot. If you're going to bounce back and forth, if you're bailing out of here and going hanging out with someone else, thank you for being here for any amount of time that you were. I really appreciate your support. show the support. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And check out the new video. I did the Michter's 20 review I just posted. Got that blind whiskey thing. I'm going to keep doing blind whiskey stuff. I'm just going to make the videos a little bit better. And I think I'm going to show Sarah pouring out the blind thing, the blind bottle in the beginning. And, you know, find a way to make it look even more trustworthy. Because the last time it was like, oh, I could have just looked at the card earlier. So I might have her on camera put, you know, a note card in an envelope folded up that at the end I tear open and, you know, you can see that it's 100% legit, that type of thing. So those will be coming. And then the next reviews that are going to come out is just going to be a bunch of BTAC stuff. And I know I'm going to have some people bitching in the comments. I had somebody on the Michter's 20 video. I don't understand the point of these reviews. You know, it's the same, the same story that like Matt Porter and the Junkies and all of us have been getting on videos. These guys saying that stuff. It's like, I don't understand why you're making this video. It's like, for comments like this, that's why we make these videos. You sore, sour puss loser. They might be nice people, but, and they have a point, you know? Why are we making the video if no one's going to get these bottles? Well, somebody gets them, and it's fun. Why did you ever watch Pimp My Ride 20 years ago? Exhibit wasn't going to pimp your ride, but you liked it when there was a fish tank in the trunk. You know? Like, why do you watch reality TV? Why do you watch people getting new houses made up or whatever? I don't know. Yeah, David, almost 100 in chat. It's awesome, man. I know, Jeff. It's like literally all I want to do now is make the craziest review videos and make them insane. Make it like, this is the greatest thing I've ever tasted. You know, really overdo it for people like that. It cracks me up. What's up, Alex? What is up? Yeah, Richie, no, those are easy to dismiss, those kinds of comments. There are some things that are harder to dismiss, especially when it's from somebody that you know and or somebody you respect. Like, those are the things that sting. But the random comments like that, those just make things fun. Ah, Zach, yeah. Dude, I hope I'm up against... Wait, is the bracket set? I have not been keeping up on Matt Madness. I am going to tune in tomorrow to see a lot of the qualifier rounds. I'm so excited about that. But I haven't... I don't know what all is set or not set. I know I'm in the quarterfinals. I would love to get matched up with Dan in the quarterfinals so I could smack him. I would love it. Oh, I would love it. Yeah, Derek, exactly. You watch McLaren reviews. That's funny. Okay. Let's taste some probably dog shit. Pardon my language. That was the Larceny barrel proof blend, and it was good. It's a good blend. All right, Willett pot still. Let's get down and dirty. Let's get down and dirty. And a little Noah's Mill. These are old. They got the eyeballs. Actually, this one's a Cyclops. One of the eyeballs fell off. So this one's just a Cyclops. Matt Porter, what's up, man? Speak of the devil. I'm just kidding. It's been a while since we were talking about you. Brackets can't be set until after the... Gotcha. So let's get a little close-up action of this, of these monstrosities. There we go. Real top shelf here. Real top shelf. I know I'm poking fun. Who knows? I might actually really like it right now. Hard to tell. And then the Noah's Mill. I don't have Rowan's Creek, but this will have to do. It's the higher offering anyways. Let's start with the Willett pot still. And actually, I don't even know the proof on this. 94. Okay. It's a batch 20C03. So that sounds like probably March 3rd, 2020 bottling. So that's 3 years ago. Honest to God, that's not that bad on the nose. It's kind of a dirt note to it. Kind of smells like a little bit like dirt. But there's also like a nice brown butter note going on the Willett pot still. And why am I getting... That's the second time tonight I'm going to say sweaty sock. I got that on something else earlier. What was it? Oh, it was that Nashville Barrel Company. It was a Nashville Barrel Company. Maybe this is the same glass. Maybe I should get a different glass. Let me just... it might be the same glass because I think I reused it. Let me just use a fresh one. Because I was like, that sweaty sock note sounds a little... or smells a little familiar. Okay. It's still kind of there. I think it was the whiskey, actually. It was. All right. Truthfully, I'm not that offended by Willett pot still. Some people have talked about, like, sweet tea notes. I could see that. It's definitely got a sweet tea vibe to it. Kind of a popcorn note. A little candy corn, actually. Dirt. It's not bad. It's just... I don't know. Okay, Dustin, when you put it like that. Joe. I was like getting into your comment as I was taking a sip. I was like, oh, Joe's really going to say something about how this was made. And I got to the end. It's made by draining out porta potties from the parking lot. That's funny. That's good. Truthfully, guys, it's not great, but I think I've had worse. I don't know. It's not a $50 bottle, but you want to know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Origin Weeder. That's not... I don't know. I'm going to pour a little out because this is kind of interesting, actually. Do you guys know the mash bill on Willett pot still? What, like, I don't know anything about it. Let me be clear, Richie. I am not endorsing the purchase of Willett pot still. Let me be very clear about that. All right, let's pour this out. This is good. I'm getting enough water in my system right now. David says, I think the new pot still is weeded. Yeah. This is not new. I mean, this is 3 years old, but does anybody else know anything about this? Because I'm legitimately curious. Like, it has... Right now on the palate, it's reminding me of this Bardstown Weeder. Now, as I do the comparison, that might totally change. Memory is a fickle thing. The Bardstown has that lemon oil note that I kept getting on it the last couple weeks as I tasted it. Did I mix those up? I don't think I did. That's the thing. I think they're really similar. I don't know, guys. I don't know. 20% wheat. Yeah. I'm telling you, it. And the mash bill of the Bardstown is 68-20-12. So it is damn close to that mash bill. I am not joking. Like, it seems very related, these two things. I mean, yeah, there's a little more proof on the Bardstown, a little more lemon oil. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm not gonna hate on the pot still right now. It's not a $50 bottle. Truthfully, I don't think this is a $50 bottle either, and that's what it's marketed as. I wouldn't buy either of them, but yeah, Joe's right. I mean, this is a good one to have on your shelf for your non-bourbon drinking friends. Toshi, what's up, dude? DC said something earlier. If anything, the Willett bottle is cool. Yeah, definitely. Roscoe, I can't wait to try the ECBP A123, man. Peter, it would be epic if you had one of those 15-year age-stated ones. Ugh. I've never had any of the old KBD juice. I've really wanted to try it, but those Dusties are generally around the $1,000 mark at least. Not cheap. So let's go to Noah's Mill now. Let's go to Noah's Mill. Kyle Hicks, you have not missed GTS. GTS, I think, is next. I think it's going to be next. Okay, now over to Noah's Mill. Sorry to ask you guys to check this out again, but if you wouldn't mind, could somebody look up the mash bill for Noah's Mill if it's available? That would be very cool. I'm just curious. Noah's Mill has like a green apple peel note. Like kind of bitter. You know, it's got that bitterness from the peel. What a strange profile. It's like two competing things in Noah's Mill. There's a darker, like typical bourbon profile of kind of this nuttiness, it's actually pretty darn sweet on the finish. There's this little nuttiness, this little bit of vanilla white cake, standard caramel, that kind of thing. And then opposite that, which is kind of fighting it on the palate, is like green apple peel, pear, grass. So, Dustin, we got 13% rye in this one. Okay. There's something about it that I like. There's a lot of cinnamon, too, which is, of course, like Hallmark Willett stuff. There's something about it I like, but I just think it's too, there's too much of this, like, weird duality to it that I can't get behind. And what takes it away is that weird, bitter, apple peel thing. I don't understand that note in this whiskey. But I think there are a lot of good things about Noah's Mill, actually. That popcorn note's here for sure. Strange. Brian, I have not tried Rowan's, so I can't speak to it. I've heard it's just like kind of a younger version of Noah's Mill. And what is Noah's Mill? 60, and Rowan's sounds like 45. Is that right? 60? Alex says, hey, by the way, no more buying ECBP new batches off secondary. They sit on shelves here. You know I got you. Oh, cool, man. Well, thanks for that. I tried, like, sometimes I don't know which markets are getting them, so I didn't know you guys were seeing the new ones already, or else I would definitely hit you up about that. Because I try to just get them here soon so I can get them onto a live stream and taste them, so people who are wondering when they do hit their areas, I want to just, even if I don't get a review video out for it quickly, like, I just want people to know, if they do trust my palate, even somewhat kind of what I'm thinking about it. Roy, no, the George T. Stagg is coming up right now, but good to see you, dude. Ooh, DC stale wood. That's a cool way of putting it. I think I know what you're talking about. Yes. That's a great note, man. I don't even know what stale wood means. Like, not. That's a hard one to quantify, but when you smell Noah's Mill, that's exactly what it is. And that's the same note that is on purple top, like 6, 7, 8 year purple tops. That is actual Willett distillate. Same note is that's the same thing I get on the Noah's Mill. And so stale wood is a cool way of talking about it. Old dry barn wood. Okay, there you go. Nice. Thank you. What's up, Marty? Good luck this year in Matt Madness. Thanks, man. Okay, so one last taste of the pot still. Why not? I don't hate this stuff. I thought I was going to hate this. I really did. Okay, the palate has almost nothing to offer, but I don't know. Okay, that's an unpopular opinion, probably. So now it's time for the main events. Let's get to George T. Stagg, okay? Man, I really dropped the ball on clean glasses tonight. Yeah, I have like 10 dirty glasses. These are all the glasses I have of this style. I have one clean one, which I will taste the George T. Stagg from. Here we go. And then I got a clear one because Dustin said earlier, when I taste this, I should put it next to my favorite Stagg Jr. So I'm going to pour a little Stagg Jr. batch 12 for the comparison. Okay. I'll use this glass. And I'll pour batch 12 in. I got to clear it. Give me just a second here. Roy says, I hope Stagg 22 beats Michter's 20. Man, if I had some Michter's 20 left, I could tell you. Alex says, only on the OG mash purple tops, which 95% of aren't worth buying even at retail anymore. High rye and high corn, high entry only. Yeah, you know all the purple top stuff, man. I do not. And I think like any of the purple tops that I've tried, let me think about this, that have been between like 6 and 9 years old that are Willett distillate, I think they've all been OG. I think they've all been the OG mash. I don't think I've had any of the other stuff. Kyle, the triple stave is... Are you talking about the Bardstown triple blended stave finish? If so, it's fine. It's good whiskey, but at like $200, I don't think it's worth that. No, I don't find myself reaching for it. In fact, like I reached for Larceny C922 probably every time I reached for that since I've had it. I've never even considered reaching for that bottle. So, and it's about 4 times more expensive, or 3.5. Okay. So, Stagg Batch 12, Stagg Jr. Got some glasses clinking. Stagg Jr. Batch 12. What is this? Noah's Mill? Yeah. Okay. Next to George T. Stagg 2022. Hey, Kilko, what is up, man? Looks like you're thinking about pouring some Four Roses. Yeah, you should pour some Four Roses. That sounds good. Okay, Stagg Jr. Batch 12. And here is the George T. Stagg, 138.7 proof. So I've got an ounce left of it. Probably got a third of an ounce in the glass, and honestly, that's plenty. So again, shout out to Yung-Pei Chang. Yung sent this sample over. Got here, I think, 2 or 3 days ago, something like that. And it's just this year I've had the opportunity to taste now 3 of the 5 BTACs from 2022. I never thought I was going to get to do that, and it's all thanks to Yung sent me Thomas Handy already, and I have enough of that left to review. George T. Stagg, and then Daniel P. in the chat sent William LaRue, and obviously Pappy 15 from last week, and Hardens Creek Jacobs well. So guys, thank you all, and in particular here, thank you to the man YPC for sending this George T. Stagg my way. Oh, geez Louise, guys. Let me think about the George T. Staggs I've tried. I've tried 2019 and 2020. And I've had 2020 2 or 3 different times. And I've had 2019 once. And it was when I've talked about this before, when I was first getting into American whiskeys. So I don't really remember the 2019. I remember liking it, but putting it in context, I couldn't do that. I couldn't speak to it. I love 2020. And I did 2020 next to this Stagg Jr. Batch 12 in a video like a year and a half ago. And I thought that the Batch 12 was damn close to the George T. Stagg 2020. And you're talking, 7 years of age difference, just about, between 5 and 8 years probably, blending-wise. Dang. You got to know what OESV at the distillery. Nice. I would imagine you've taken a chunk out of that. I would imagine so. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Kilco, by the way, go drop Kilco Whiskey Musings. The man himself. Go drop a subscribe over there. Please, please, please. Okay, let's see. Just going back in the chat before I really get into this George T. Stagg. Roy says 2019 is basically grape juice. Amy says that the 2018 was the best bottle I ever had. Mom won it in the Virginia lottery. Lucky lady. Ooh, nice. I'm telling you guys, I'm going to own one of those 2009 George T. Staggs one of these days. It's a lot of money, but Toshi Bake, it's all your fault, man. All right, so 2022 George T. Stagg. I'll start with this, and then I'll go over to the Stagg Jr. First impression, this is insane whiskey. That is like I'm not talking tasting notes. I'm not talking sweet, savory, spicy, sour. This is insane whiskey. Okay. There's like, I said this in the Michter's 20 video, that Michter's 20 reminded me of if there was a such thing as bourbon concentrate, where you could just add water to it, and it's like your Kool-Aid mix, and there's just too much Kool-Aid mix for the amount of water, and in bourbon, that's a really, really good thing. Like, there's just so much flavor packed in as compared to the alcohol and just the liquid itself, if that makes any sense. You guys have probably experienced this, just a full flavored thing, and then just imagine that exponentially more. That's what the George T. Stagg is, 2022 on the nose. Again, 138.7 proof. We're dealing with a lot of alcohol. It doesn't smell that way. It is, so let's get into some notes now. Yeah, Toshi, that's one that there's no way I can mention that. There's no way I can tell her if I ever pulled the trigger on that until it's open and she's tasting it. And then she would be like, okay. That'd be a rough one. All right, so this George T. Stagg, let's get into it here. The first thing you get are all of the fruit notes. Standard George T. Stagg fare, I think. Par for the course, which is every red fruit you can imagine. I don't even know what a red currant tastes like. People say that note in wine. Let's just say there's red currants in here. Every cherry, it's candied cherry. It's also super dark cherry. It's blackberry. It's also candied grape. It's strawberry notes. It's every kind of red fruit all in one. That is where the main body of this whiskey comes from. And that's, I think, what makes George T. Stagg special is because it's just so stupidly fruity. So we'll start with that. And another thing about this, we're talking about 15-year Mash Bill 1 Buffalo Trace. When this stuff ages, the oak, the sweet oak note from Buffalo Trace tends to never become a note that stands out on its own. It is actually like a supporting note. In the case of George T. Stagg here, it just further enhances like the candied red fruit and candied black fruit notes in the whiskey. So you can tell that there's oak, but the oak is it's not like a funky Heaven Hill oak at all. And if you've had George T. Stagg, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to explain it for maybe the people that have not had George T. Stagg before. Similarly, like with King of Kentucky, the oak on King of Kentucky sometimes is really, really discernible and very sweet, honestly. But some other times it gets a little sour. It gets... How would I describe this? Like, oak is a hard thing to describe because you just have to taste a lot of different heavily oaked bourbons to then kind of create a graph in your mind of how different oaks interact with whiskeys, how the notes present. So King of Kentucky has this note, this like fingernail polish remover note a little bit. Or maybe, yeah, I would say like a fingernail polish remover kind of note. And that might sound bad to you. It's not that bad. It's a good thing. It kind of differentiates that oak, and that allows you to understand that it's King of Kentucky. In this case, I would imagine it's Brown Forman, right? Because the Michter's 10 stuff, or it is Brown Forman, and the Michter's 10 single barrels kind of have this note too, which are suspected to be sourced from Brown Forman. There's a little bit of that acetone thing in this, like there's a little King of Kentucky-ish wood in this George T. Stagg with those red fruits. Now, tons of leather, wet leather in the George T. Stagg. Quite a bit of black pepper. And fiery cinnamon. Proofy, intense cinnamon. It's just so good on the nose. Jeez. Marshall, I've heard this rumor. I also heard that rumor about Batch 17 because if you guys remember, Batch 17... Yeah, I think this is right. Batch 17 Stagg Jr. actually came out next after the George T. Stagg was announced to not be released. So then people said, oh, maybe the Batch 17 has the old barrels, and like the first Batch 17s on secondary sold for like $750 or something like that. It was so stupid because you tasted Batch 17 and it was like, there's not a chance in hell that this has any of those unreleased barrels. So then the rumor, because they took Junior away, started being that Batch 18 might have some of those barrels. And maybe it does. I like Batch 18. I could pull it down. I don't think, to my palate, I was not thinking that it had older stuff in it. And if it did, it felt like a very small amount. But the fact that rumor has cycled now through 2 different batches makes me believe it less. But maybe that's not the right attitude. Toshi, she's already tried it. She already knows that the 09 is ridiculous. Paul, dude. Another 50. Paul, thank you, man. Cheers to that. I'll say cheers to Paul with my first sip of this George T. Stagg 2022, man. Wow, that's an intense whiskey. It's like a hair on your chest kind of whiskey. Ashton says King of Kentucky is the highest concentration of flavor I've had. George T. Stagg 09, highest concentration of flavor in my opinion. I'm not gonna stop ranting and raving about this whiskey. Wow. DC's got an 04 George T. Stagg online for $4,330. Oh my God. Paul, thank you again, man. Okay. I love the nose on this George T. Stagg. The palate is a little bit proofy. Like, it's a little hot on the palate. But I'm going to go in for a second sip here in a second. I think the nose is just phenomenal. But I do want to put it next to the Stagg Jr. Batch 12. Lots of talk about different George T. Stagg vintages in the chat. That's awesome, guys. That's cool that you've tried so many of these. And Derek, I think, is talking about Stagg Jr. here. Derek, if I had to put money on it being in either one of them, I think you're absolutely right that I would put my money on it being batch 18, because I don't think, like, to me 17 was this. I got all sorts of weird flavors in 17. I remember talking about latex glove and fried chicken, like really weird notes, and I sat with 17 multiple times and I got it every single time. 18 I liked a lot more. I think you're right, though. Mike B says George T. Stagg 12 is a stunner. Last hazmat release, I believe. Okay. So let's go to the Stagg Jr. Batch 12 now, I have had Batch 6, I think, in a blind, but not enough to really sit with the profile. And Batch 9, I think the same thing. I think I've tried both of them, and those are the other batches that people typically compare to Batch 12. I think some people are fans of 11 also for Stagg Jr., but typically I see 6 and 9 regarded. If there are competing batches with number 12, it would be 6 and 9, I believe. Hang on. This whiskey needs a little coaxing out of the glass. So, the Stagg Jr. is coming off significantly hotter. Significantly. And it is 8 proof points less. 8.5, actually, proof points less than the George T. Stagg. So that's interesting. 8.5. What am I saying? 8.5. It's not 8.5. It's 6.5. You know what's kind of funny, though, is while there's more alcohol on the nose of the Stagg Jr. Batch 12, the George T. Stagg 2022 actually has more of a cornbread note. And I know I said this on my Michter's 20 review, too. Some old whiskeys have a toasted cornbread note, and it's not that it's youthful, because this is 15-year Buffalo Trace, and the Michter's 20 is 20-year something, wherever that's from. And I didn't recognize that toasted cornbread note until I put it next to the Stagg Jr. 12, which is a little tighter, a little more closed off, but actually a darker overall profile, more grape, blackberry, plum on the Stagg Jr., whereas the red fruits come through a little bit more on the George T. Stagg. And it's just overall sweeter on the George T. Stagg. Like, if I had these side by side and you said pick out the George T. Stagg, I think that's an easy guess between these two. So I'm going to taste the Stagg Jr. now. Aiden, sorry. Aiden says I added you in my last couple. Aiden, I have only the StreamYard chat up, so I don't actually get notified when I get tagged in comments. So I just kind of have to freeball it in here, you know? Just kind of do it on my own. I used to have the YouTube chat up on my second screen below, but I don't even like to look down at my second screen. I don't have it up right now, so I'll look for them here in a second. But I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. It's just going to be a little easier that way. Yes, Marshall, thank you. Guys, please hit that like button. We got like 100 people in here. So I'm going to keep on with this comparison because I don't think I need to go back and forth a few times on the George C. Stagg and the Stagg Jr. Batch 12. But thank you for hanging out for everyone that's here right now. And yes, please hit that like button. Dustin, this is an interesting comment. Wouldn't it make sense to sneak small amounts of the 21 rejected George T. Stagg barrels into the future GTS releases to increase yield and make more bottles of those that they charge more for? From a profit perspective, that makes a lot of sense. They might think that if those barrels are not just up to snuff, but actually bad, that maybe, you know, it would actually taint the blend a little too much. I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, in my mind, if I'm Buffalo Trace, and I'm not, and I've never seen behind the scenes of a distillery, but I would say that probably it makes no sense to pour those old barrels into a Stagg Jr. release. I don't think so. Because wouldn't you just let them continue to age? And maybe, like, maybe barrels go through the same period that, again, as I learn more about wine, you learn that certain bottles, as they age over the years in a cellar, you know, they go through dumb phases where the bottle, like, okay, give it a few more years and it'll come back to life, basically. And if whiskey barrels maybe behave in a similar fashion, where it's like, oh, it's in a weird phase, but maybe at the 20-year mark, even if there's only 20 bottles of liquid left in the barrel, maybe we can do something with that. Or if you're like, think about it. They do Mr. Sam and they blend in crazy shit to Mr. Sam. Why not blend in extra age George T. Stagg that might get better in the next 5 years? I just don't think it makes sense for them to dump that in a Stagg Jr. and just like call it a day. I've never understood why that was. It just seems like a bunch of rumors. It's a bunch of unsubstantiated rumors. I'm not expecting Sazerac to come out and announce that hey guys, we rejected these barrels and then we put them in a release for you. You know, like, they're not going to come out and say that, but the people that have been saying this have never said, I know somebody at Sazerac or at Buffalo Trace that told me this. It's always just been, this is what I'm hearing. It seems like a true rumor to me. And if somebody has something to substantiate it, please tell me. Bourbon on a Bayou says, sent my girlfriend to grab a bottle of Stagg 17 from me while I was at work. I was told by my girlfriend that she now has a bottle of Stagg 17. Daniel says, told you George C. Stagg was hot. I'm 5 minutes behind. Daniel says, 5, 9, and 12 are the junior goats. Nice. Peter, I never tried batch 1. I loved batch 2. I thought it had a little bit of, there were some issues with batch 2 for me, balance-wise. But just tasting batch 2, you're like, man, if there's something better than this, that would be crazy. So let's see. Let's go back. I gotta catch Aiden's comments here, and then I'll get back into this. So Joe, oh my gosh, secondary William LaRue Weller for a restaurant visit. That's wild, dude. I bet it was cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe she won't, but also maybe she will. Maybe she won't, then again, maybe she will. That's a line from is it a Drake and Lil Wayne song? Anyways. I'm going to go back now. Cam, do you have a current favorite store pick? Jeez. Sheesh. Something I reach for, I guess. I mean, I judge these things by, like, what do I reach for to drink? I probably just some Knob Creek 15-year picks that I've got, which sucks because those things are pretty much long gone. Yeah. I'd say Knob 15 picks, or I have a really nice Eagle Rare pick, actually. And Buffalo Trace. Like, I think Eagle Rare picks and Buffalo Trace picks highly underrated. Okay. So, Aiden, I'm looking for your comment. Oh, I think I'm here now. I think I've got it. I received the same George T. Stagg sample. Here we go. It's a lot less good than I expected. I don't know. I would actually be, I love 2020. I'd be really curious to try it next to 2020. But the differences here on the nose between the 12 Stagg Jr. and the 2022 George T. Stagg are the differences are pretty stark. Or are they? The batch 12, now that it's been in the glass. Oh, geez. Yeah, I can still tell the difference for sure, but damn, batch 12, I'm telling you, batch 12 is killer. So when I did the 2020 comparison to batch 12, it was close, probably closer than this one is, but this is still closer than I'd want it to be now that the batch 12 has been sitting out a little bit. DC, I am curious at the average lifespan of a typical bourbon barrel, meaning the age at which a barrel is no longer usable. Well, I mean, most of those barrels, I mean, they get reused for Scotch typically, and maybe other, maybe stouts or different beers. And maybe wine as well. So I don't know. I mean, I would imagine they last quite a long time. Because, like, different scotches are going to age in reused bourbon barrels, different first, second, third fill type stuff, I would think. And that's, it's going to be more of a neutral barrel the more that you put new Scotch batches in there. So, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I feel like the only person that could answer that would be somebody like, really deep in it at a distillery. See ya, Aiden. Thanks for stopping by, man. Peter, how much did you pay for the bomb burgers? I've heard that the Matt Porter said that they're very different from the last couple of years. I have a 2021. Yeah, I think mine's a 21. I love it. So it's a whiskey that takes a little effort from you. It's not like you pour it out of the glass, pour it out of the bottle, and you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. It's like you got to sit with it and understand kind of what it is, because it's presumably a little younger. It's a Michter's product, but $130 Canadian. I would probably open it. I'd probably open it. And before you do, though, Peter, check out Matt Porter. Check out his video on bomb burgers, because I think he had a 22 and a 21 in that video. And he describes kind of the flavor differences. And there are different batches, of course, from vintage to vintage. So, I don't know. All right. Stagg batch 12. There's a lack of finesse on Stagg Jr. batch 12. It's a little more brawny on the profile, but very, very good. Very dark. Lacks a little bit of refinement, lacks a little bit of vanilla as compared to this George T. Stagg. So, Peter, in Matt's video, I cannot remember. I think he said one was more fruity and one was more something else. I want to say the 21 that I have is very, very fruity, and I think he said that his 21 was really fruity. And the 22, maybe you remember, I can't remember the differences he mentioned in the profile. Okay, so George T. Stagg 2022. It's very, very good. I think the palate's a little proofy for me. I think the balance is... I think Aiden was right, that the balance is a little bit not great on the palate. The flavors are incredible. It hits you over the head. It totally blindsides you. But two things. One is the ethanol, the alcohol is a little bit strong. But the second thing is there's actually a very distinct grass note in this that I'm now picking up. Yeah. So George T. Stagg 2022, very front of the palate, grassy. Goes away. You get all these flavors. It's incredible. Red fruits, sweetness, leather, sweet oak. Now back into the finish. Beautiful Kentucky hug. Spice tingling in the mouth. But I'm left with the taste of grass in my mouth. Yeah. Opening up now to some dark chocolate notes on the nose, which is very cool. Peter says Matt liked the 22 a hair more. Then I say open it because I like the 21. Okay, Kyle, what are your thoughts on a rating whiskey with some sort of scoring system? So, Kyle, I for 2 years have gone back and forth on this. And for a second there in my videos, I was trying to do letter grades, and then I said, screw this. And then I was like trying to do some point system, and then I said, screw this. Excuse me. And the one thing I learned about just kind of making content, or, yeah, let's say making content or rating whiskey, it's like you don't need to announce when you're going to change something about your videos. Like, you don't need to do the LeBron James, the decision stuff, like taking my talents to South Beach or whatever he said. You don't need to announce every change in your style. You just need to do it. So as I've made these changes, at first I said, I'm going to start rating these whiskeys. I think I made an announcement. And then you kind of look around and you learn, like, no one really cares. They're going to, if they like it, they watch it. If they don't, they don't. So as I experiment with this stuff into the future, I'm not going to announce it. I'm just going to try it. But again, I'm so sorry, ad nauseum, guys, talking about wine, because it's fresh in my mind as I'm continuing to learn about how to taste it and everything. The wine scoring system is very different than what we tend to do with whiskey. Like a lot of people just have their own individual ideas of how to rate whiskey. And that makes sense because we don't have a codified system for whiskey. But the wine system, the numbers are more inflated. Like, you're looking at numbers between 80 and 100, essentially. And anything under 80, you don't really see, like, you're not going to see a 45 score out of 100 or a 55 out of 100. Like, so if you go look at Robert Parker, who is a wine critic, like, his kind of thoughts on scoring the 100-point system that wine uses, like, you can learn about that. And I'm going to try, I think, I've been mulling this over, to incorporate some sort of 100-point system, but really set hyper... I sound like Dan Shook. He says hyper a lot. I'm going to try to set some really specific parameters around it and then see if it feels right. And if it doesn't, then I'll stop doing it. Like, Bruzel right now is doing his Bruzel score, and there's all these calculations. He doesn't overdo it on the screen, and he's been changing things around. And Stuff and Whiskey, I think, has... I haven't watched a video of theirs in a little bit, but they had kind of a crazy, complicated scoring thing. I don't want to see all the math. I think the math makes it really a headache for the viewer. So I'm just trying to parse all of this out. Dustin, I have nothing to say to you, Dustin. I have nothing to say, bro. Jesus. So Roscoe loves A123. I can't wait to get A123 tomorrow. Oh, God, I can't wait. Roy says a more objective way of doing it is blind comparison. Yes and no, Roy. I think yes and no on that. Blake Anderson, good evening all. Good evening to you. You guys are funny. So, yeah, I like the George T. Stagg 2022. I really do. I just want to sit and smell it. My favorite thing with this, I've already drank it twice. Very small, teeny little pours out of this sample bottle. My favorite part is smelling the empty glass on this one. It's very good. Just a little hot on the palate. Same story with the Larceny A123. Just a little hot. Grassy. I can't do the grassy notes in bourbon. I feel like that is an off note. I don't think that is a note that should be encouraged in bourbon. I just don't think it has a place. And I've seen articles where distillers have talked about faulty barrels giving grassy notes. So I think it's regarded as a fault in whiskey. To me, it's a fault in this whiskey, George T. Stagg 2022. Derek, I'm so glad you said this, because this is the big question mark. Is price and availability a part of the overall score? How can it be? How can it be? I know scores are all subjective anyways, but you really start adding some subjectivity to the score because you don't know the price and you don't know the availability in a given state, the price at a given store, whether secondary or SRP. You can't rate it that way. So that is why I think if you do a pricing or availability consideration in the score, it cannot actually impact the score. You have to just either discuss it separately, which you probably would anyways if it's a really rare thing, or give it its own pricing and or availability score based on your knowledge of the pricing and or availability, which, again, like Ohio is going to be different than Indiana. It's going to be different than New York, California, etc. I don't think it's wise. I don't think it's wise for pricing and availability to factor into an overall whiskey score. Personally. Blake, to me, this is not I'm not talking about a dominant note. So I'm highly sensitive to a few things in whiskey. One is peanuts, another is grass, and another is rubber. Particularly with toasted barrel or double, what would you call it? Yeah, I guess toasted barrel or double barreled products that get that rubber note. I'm highly sensitive to that. But grass, I think on the George T. Stagg 2022, you get it on Ezra Brooks 99. You get that note in, quite a few other things. Roy, that's an interesting. I mean, that's kind of what Stuff and Whiskey does. They're blinding all these things in these pairs. It's a good idea. It's a good idea for sure. But the problem about doing that is that you really need to do it double blind. Like if you gave me George T. Stagg and a rare breed, I think I can confidently say 10 out of 10 times I can pick out which one's which. So I don't really like, doing a blind where this one might be a little more challenging, like a Stagg Jr., a great Stagg Jr. versus a good or even great George T. Stagg. And mixing these up, that might be more challenging. But like if you're going to do like a George T. Stagg versus a Jacob's Well Hardens Creek or something where you have a really sweet oak candy profile versus peanuts, leather, dark caramel, and chocolate, and then act like you don't know which one is which, that shit kills me, man. So you have to do it double blind. And then, Whiskey Tube, you can't say, oh, they're copying me. But, you know, that's basically what Josh and Aaron do, stuff in whiskey. And I wouldn't want to feel like I'm copying that formula. I don't know. Joe, this is a great comment. In wine, we say something is high QPR, quality price ratio, but quality score and price should be independent. I think wine has had a lot longer to think about these things, and just more of an audience to think about these things too. Marshall, I think you're right. I think I'll grab one right now. Why not? So when I was looking around on secondary for this, oh geez, hang on. My glasses I have them hanging, you know, on like one of those little hangers. They're clinking against each other, and they're my very expensive glasses, so I need to separate them. Okay. There we go. So getting these in Ohio is fairly difficult. The state does picks. The state typically does very bad picks. No offense, but you know, it is what it is. Saying that as somebody who has now helped the state with some picks, I still don't have a lot of faith in the picks because, you know, when we did the picks for Middle West Spirits, I'm not going to say like any of them were particularly bad, but I thought there were some really standout good ones, and I don't think any of the barrels that I actually picked ended up as the state picked barrels because it was just a vote of people. And some of the people had probably decent palates. I sound like maybe a jerk. I'm not trying to, but some of the people there, you know, you talk to them about their experience with whiskey and stuff like that, and you can just tell that they don't know what's going on. And then everybody just gets a vote at the end. So that was a little disappointing. Anyways, so I don't really trust Ohio picks, so I had to get on secondary to get one of these. And I don't know who picked this, but I just thought I'd go for a medium floor in Warehouse K, which everybody likes Warehouse K typically. So I got a floor 5 Warehouse K, 129.3 proof. Roundabout way of saying that. Let me grab a new glass. These Bennuaine glasses, actually the ones that were clinking just now when they were hanging next to each other. These really dissipate alcohol quite well. And sometimes that gives you a false impression of the whiskey that it's a lower proof, which is why I don't use these glasses for, you know, any kind of blind tastings, because in terms of alcohol punch on the nose and determining proof, I'm much better with the glasses that I've been using the last 3 years. So I'll taste this. Who was talking about that? Marshall. So I'll throw that comment back up on the screen. Sorry, guys. Total silence as I just read through the chat. So, Marshall, I'm going to take this down so I can get some other chats, but I'm going to taste this in the glass here in just a second. Okay. Cohen says, Ohio has Foursquare now and getting Springbank. I actually did not know that. So that is very good news. Especially on the Springbank front for me in particular. Peter says, I sent a bunch of sherried Scotch to Trev Wilson, and the grassy note on the Glenallachie 10 cask strength turned him off big time. I just can't do the grass. Yeah. Trev sounds like he's with me. Are you Schlammert? I would rather you describe what you're getting from the whiskey than give it an 8.5 or an 8.7. I think you got to do both. But, you know, So right now, I'm so sorry to bring up wine again, guys. As I'm trying to like just wrap my head around wine, I go to the store. I have watched plenty of videos and read about how to read a wine label. And how to read a label differs from region to region, country to country, style to style. You know, you might see Burgundy on the label, which you're not going to actually see the word Burgundy, but you'll see it in French. And you just have to know what that means in terms of varietal and stuff. So it's so varied. And you can learn how to read a label, but then you really don't actually know how to read a label, because then you look at a wine from Greece and you're like, I don't know what that means. Or Hungarian wine, or whatever the case may be. So me, as somebody in a wine shop that is still struggling, I'm sorry, but I'm looking at the James Suckling, Robert Parker, Wine Advocate. I'm looking at the scores on the tags, just to try to get a sense at least of the quality of wine given the price point. And then I kind of go from there. That's not always maybe the best way to do it, but like whiskey drinkers, I think intermediate to novice whiskey drinkers, or even beginners, similar thing. Like they might want to see a price, a score rather. They might want to see a score to just give them a sense of what they might be getting quality-wise. So I think you got to do both. Like if you're going to make a piece of whiskey content on YouTube, you better be articulate and able to explain yourself, even if it's an abstract type of explanation. Explain it in that abstract way. Get as close as you can to what you're trying to say, and slapping a score on at the end, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, you have to support with explanation. It's just like teaching. It's just like education. Amy, please do this. Please do this. I would love to do this on a stream coming up. I don't have my streams planned this month, so like sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Like I knew I was going to do Pappy last week. This week, I knew I had the GTS. I didn't know what else I was going to get into, so I just kind of figured it out. Amy, if you send that, I will totally do it. I think that's a great way to do it too, and it's the most challenging for me. Peter says these glasses are really expensive. I can't remember how much they are. I think I bought them by the 6-pack to get a better deal. Cohen says Springbank 10 is a starter bottle. Yeah. I've never actually had the 10. I started with the 15 and I loved it. No, Dustin, the grassy note stays. The grassy note stays. And Jonathan, yeah, the more I get into to the wine thing, you hear a Cabernet, you hear graphite pencil shavings, Cassis, you hear the standard notes. Pinot, you hear the standard notes. Nebbiolo, you hear the standard notes. But when you first start, those notes don't mean anything. All of it is like you might see DOCG on a label or DOC, you might see, and then you see the scores. Like those are the only things that really mean in the varietal, that mean something as a very beginner. Even with whiskey, it's like a lot of people just don't even understand tasting notes, and they don't need to. They need to know good and bad and what they like. And how do you communicate that if they don't understand tasting notes? Maybe a number, I guess. Okay, somebody in the chat. Give Amy 10 random numbers between 1 and 100. Someone type it out. The first person that gives 10 random numbers to Amy between 1 and 100. Keep going, Roy. Roy's got the first 5. Kyle. Oh, Kyle asked about which one is a starter bottle. I mean, it's jumped in price also, but me, I think 15 was you've got to like Pete. Of course, you got to like weird, funky Scotch, but the 15 I loved. Yeah, Jonathan, this is a good point. Paul, man, I love Ralphie. I love how opinionated Ralphie is also. Jonathan, this is also a good point. I'm kind of going back in time here, but comparing a 4-year craft bourbon to a 15-year age major distiller product, I also think that is not a fair comparison, you know? All right, Amy. Amy's got her numbers. Sweet. Amy's going to send a crazy random flight. That's going to be really, really fun. Yeah, Jacob, these are really hit and miss, so I'm going to try mine again. I don't even remember how mine tastes, but I clearly don't reach for it that much. So we'll see. Big banana note, of course. White pepper. Cinnamon. It is hot, but not overly hot. Well, maybe it is overly hot. Young wood, young oak. Not a lot of depth to this. I think after I get it on the palate, it's going to change and it's going to open up, but let's check this out again. Warehouse K, floor 5, 129.3. Down the hatch. Okay, it's hot. Yeah, it's hot. Oh, Jesus. Wow. God, you got to put that over ice. I'm going to smell it next to the George T. Stagg. The Stagg Jr. Batch 12, which is 3 proof points higher. Oh my God. That Old Forester hit me hard. Yeah, that ain't it. Oh God, I understand. I bought this bottle like over a year ago, and I understand why I've not gone back to it now. Jeez Louise. God. Wow. Guys, that is just insane. Jonathan says, hot, wet slate sidewalk is found in the French Quarter, New Orleans, and that's a left bank note to me, cab-based Bordeaux. Yeah. I just did a left to right bank comparison the other day, like $25 Bordeaux, and yeah, the left bank stuff was super earthy. I'd be hard pressed to tell you, what producer it was from. I think it was 2018 vintage. Very earthy notes, just a little bit raw meat, a little bit, but not as much. I have this Mourvedre that I was tasting, which was just tasted like raw steak and black pepper. It was just insane, so savory and herbal. But the left bank Bordeaux that I had was still pretty earthy, very mushroom forward, like super savory notes. Plum, dark fruit, sure, but the right bank, the Merlot base, was 85 Merlot 15 cab, and for as much shit as you can give Merlot, I think some people do. From what I'm like reading, I liked the right bank. I liked it quite a bit. The left bank for me was just a little, I don't know, it just felt wacky. But again, I don't know anything about wine. I'm just going off of what I had, and I was comparing that next to a Cab Franc from a French Cab Franc, and then Southern Rhone. Does that sound right for a Cab Franc? And then that Mourvedre, which I had. The regions everything's murky for me, but I had a 4-way blind, or 4-way tasting, and then my fifth open bottle with that tasting was a Vino Nobile de Montepulciano 2016 Reserva. So very different for that one. So, Roy, I've never had any of the Springbank cast strengths. I actually have some samples over here. I don't know if I should get into those tonight, but we've already been on for 2 hours. How you guys feeling? There's 69 left in the chat. How you guys feeling? I know the stream's kind of been... I mean, my streams are always kind of crazy, up and down, but I think I have maybe some cast strength Springbanks over there, some 1 ounce samples. I have a bunch of stuff from Colin Murray Bain, who's very cool to send a lot of that over. But the 12 cast strengths on secondary now are blowing up. Are you talking Chateau Margaux, Toshi, or just... Because I have some Chateau Syrah Margaux and the lower end. That's a 2016. I have a 2018 S de Syrah, which is, I think, the lower end or more entry-level offering from Chateau Syrah. Roy, Stagg Jr. 12 is really, really good. Yeah, Blake says, Cam got smacked. Yeah, I got absolutely smacked. Yeah, Jared says, I got a warehouse. K, floor 5, nearly the same proof, same boat. Yeah. God. I'm going to try one more of this Old Forester barrel proof. Also, for the 70 people that are remaining here, which is, I mean, that's an awesome number for this channel. 70 hanging out 2 hours into the stream, let alone the 100 that were here earlier. Please hit that like button if you have not already. Cohen says Latour is my favorite of the first growth. Yeah, I mean, I'm so new to this. There's no way I've had any of the first growths, but you know, I'm really looking forward to the wine thing. The first couple weeks that I was diving in, like back in December, I would say, you know, I went overboard. I was drinking way too much wine and spitting wine, but just opening too many bottles. I just wanted to learn everything all at once, and it's like everything in my life. I'm so impatient. I have to just take a step back and calm down. So one day I will taste a first growth, and I hope, you know, I'm sure it'll be a special experience, but yeah, Shinnon, that's what it was. Cab Franc, that's exactly what it was, Jonathan. So a lot of wine folks in the chat. That's very cool, guys. Jacob says, people in the chat getting me hyped up for ECBP A123. I'm drinking B520 and a local 10-year private barrel pick. I'm getting hyped for A123 too. Cohen says, never had Petrus. Way crazy priced. Yeah. Keith, I'm going to check this out. It might sound crazy, but do you get a faint beer note on the nose of that Old Forester? Yeah, I get like a... Keith, you know what it is, I think? So the banana note in some Old Forester products, Jack Daniels too, I think can... so banana, to me, is a very bright, abrasive kind of note on the nose. It stands out a lot. But if the whiskey has a lot of body to it, a lot of like underlying, let's say brown sugars, caramels, standard fare, that support the banana note, then it feels more full and less sharp, bright, and abrasive. And I think the banana note on this gives me a feel of barley, like a heavy, gives me the feel of malted barley, which would relate then to possibly a beer note. Yeah, and I think that's it. There's like this malty, like almost like a chocolate malt kind of note on here. Oh, Toshi's sitting on a 96 Lafite. Jeez. I don't know anything about vintages, like what good vintages are or not. But I'm sure that's going to be epic when you open that. Jonathan, been in it for years, never had any of the French first growths. Had premium Napa, though. Okay. Yes, Jared, Hefeweizen. That's a great call out. To me, though, like, I think you're right that thinking of a banana note, totally Hefeweizen-esque. I think in this case, I am actually getting like a chocolate malt note. Reminds me of, if you want to talk Scotch, reminds me of like the Signet almost. You get that chocolatey, that chocolate malt roasty kind of note. Derek says the 11-year Ohio liquor pick ECBP is solid. Haven't tried any of those. Roy, Paul Graham said, do it, Cam. What do I have to do? Oh no. Paul says, do it. Are you talking about drinking a First Growth? Because I don't have like $700 to drop on. It's easier to drop that money on whiskey when you know you can close it up and come back to it in a year. The wine thing is a little more challenging for me. I don't have a Corvin to extract the wine. Okay, second sip of the Old Forester. It's still hot. It's not as hot, but it's it's still challenging me. A little more coffee on that sip, which is cool. Berries, banana, coffee, too much spice, too much cinnamon. Wow. $9,200 Canadian for a 2010 Petrus. Oh my God, Peter, that's so much money. Oh, I forgot to talk about this earlier. Travis was in here. Travis R. Robeson, I believe. Robeson. Travis R. was in here earlier, and I set this Woodford out so I would remember to talk about it. Guys, today, I think it was today, unless my days are running together, Woodford announced the next release in the Masters collection, which is called Historic Entry Proof. And it's bottled at the traditional 90.4 proof. But it was like some crazy low entry proof, like 100, 105, something really, really low for an entry proof. The press release went out, I think it was today. But I was commenting on Grease's post on Facebook. Where they're getting us is they're only releasing it in 700 milliliter bottles. And apparently Brown-Forman actually announced, or I think it was Brown-Forman, because Jack Daniels has already done this. The Triple Mash, the Bonded were released in 700 mil and 1 liter bottles. And at the beginning, people didn't realize that. And some people were like, oh my God, the Jack Bonded or the Triple Mash is $45 in my area. Well, they were actually looking at a 1 liter bottle. And 700 milliliters is, the traditional export size. It's now legal in the United States to produce in 700 milliliter size bottles. Probably makes it easier on the companies to just produce one size of a bottle if they wanted to do that and export some and keep some domestic. Woodford is doing that because it sounds like Brown-Forman has come out and already said, we're going to start putting things in these size bottles. But the new Masters collection is a 700 mil, but they kept the price the same. So that's a 6% increase, 6.6% increase in yield, so number of bottles, but also a 6.6% increase in profit. So, I mean, they just ramped that up on us. And it would have been great. It would have been great to see them bring the price point from $129.99 SRP to $124.99 SRP if they're going to cut 50 milliliters out of the bottle. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, Cohen says 500 ml bottles still not legal. And I wish they were, because I have some 500 ml bottles of where's it at? Yeah. The Scotch single barrels that I got from, I think it's the Whiskey Chamber, I believe is the company, the independent bottler that I got over in Europe. 500 milliliter bottles, great size, fantastic size, you know. Is the wind still crazy outside? Because it sounded like somebody just tried to break into my house. We've been having crazy wind here today, guys. Oh my God, my phone is blowing up. I turned on Do Not Disturb and I did not realize how much I'm missing, I guess. Okay. Wow, today got up to 72 degrees in Columbus. That's so crazy. Okay, let's see about the chat. Jeb says, first growths are greatly overrated at this stage. Too many other quality producers with equal or superior quality. That's good to know, Jeb. And I mean, it feels to me like whiskey, the same exact thing, just hype, and no justification for the hype. Quality, yes, but not quality to the level of the price that's just being consistently inflated. Jared says the wind is still crazy. Okay. I was like, we have this awning over the window, right? I have blackout curtains in this room. So when I'm in this room, it doesn't matter what time of day it is. It just feels like it's nighttime. But there's an awning. It's an old house, 1940s, over this window. And when the wind blows hard, it just sounds like the house is going to fall down, you know? Yeah, Peter, the old Dewar's releases. Yeah, I had the 27 year from Lido. Lido's still in here. Yeah, Lido had the 27-year Palo Cortado, I believe, Dewar's, which was fantastic. You know what? I'm going to get that. I still have, Lido, I still have a lot of your samples, dude. And the Palo Cortado has, this much left in it, I think. It should be right here. Yeah. Teeny little bit left. Why not drink it, dude? And instead of using the Bennuaine glass with the flared lip, I'm going to go to the Luigi Bormioli. I sound like a pretentious dickhead. But seriously, the Luigi Bormioli glass, which is more of a, tapered lip at the top. It doesn't flare out. And for a lower proof Scotch, the 46% here, it's going to do a little bit better in this glass. So this is a 27-year, yeah, one sip left. May as well do it now. From a 375 milliliter bottle, which we're talking about, 27-year Dewar's double aged, finished in Palo Cortado sherry. Lido says, I need to send you some samples to include the Dewar's 32 and the Macallan Oscuro. Wow. DC, I also like the tapered lip for low proof scotches. Flared lip, I really am not a big fan of. Unless it's like a high-proof thing in this Bennuaine glass, then it really makes a lot of sense for me. Oh, heavenly. I like that nose on the. I liked it last time I tried it, the 27. Yeah, grilled pineapple. Grilled pineapple, Christmas cake. Oh, man, dark honey. A little bit of pear skin. There's a whiff of smoke in here, which is great. Yeah, kind of flinty. Kind of a flinty note. It's nice. Very nice. Paul says, I love you, Kay. I love you too, Paul, man. Thank you. And thank you for, God, man, your support. All of the super chats tonight. I appreciate you, dude. Seriously. I should run down to my basement and grab that. What did you send? The 10-year, was it Benriach or Benromic? Benriach, right? Benriach 10? Is this about to become a Scotch stream? A Scotch, and I'll go pop. Let's go grab a bottle of wine. Pop a Scotch. We'll stay on all night, guys. I got the day off tomorrow, so I'm chilling. We could just do this thing. Hey, can Ahmad please get the bot? Blake, good night to you. Roy, Glendronach 18 will compete at a lower price. Oh, man, Glendro 18. I still want to get some of the older ones. But again, the 2017 release is my favorite of the ones I've tried. June 2017 bottling. Is there a mod in here right now? If there is, please confirm that you got that. Otherwise, I'll have to mod somebody or get it myself. I have to pull up the YouTube chat, which I do not have open actually right now. So, come on. There we go. Looks like we got 89 likes, which is fantastic, actually. All right. First and only sip of this beautiful Dewar's 27. They got him. Okay. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Ooh. Good stuff. Overstewed fruit notes in that Dewar's. A little bit tired on the palate, but that's okay. I like it. Amy says totally and really random blind incoming tomorrow. Awesome. Let's do it. Next week's live stream is going to be a totally and really random. I might title the video that. Totally and really random blind flight. Okay, Jonathan, here we go. I don't have my William Dalton anymore. I actually gave it away. There's a note I get on William Dalton, also Ranch Regulator. Is Ranch Regulator from Spirits of French Lick? Because I don't know that bottle otherwise. Almost like burnt brownie. I don't enjoy it at all. Bitter, dirty tasting. Sounds earthy to me if you're talking burnt brownie. And especially if you're talking William Dalton, you're talking craft whiskey, pot still, perhaps heirloom grains. Like I don't know exactly what the what kind of corn or barley or rye they're sourcing. The Dalton wheated? No, the Lee Sinclair might be wheated. Either way, that there's a lot of factors at play there, particularly with Spirits of French Lick. Jonathan says 1 in the chat. Oh, Lido, man, you got your hands on a 2022 bottling of 21. God, that's awesome. I actually like the 18 better. My 21 that I've got is just a little earthy for me. Strangely, the 18, while it's... The 18 I just liked better. I don't know what it was, man. Paul says, Ben Riek, another $100 super chat. Oh my God, please, dude, you do not need to give me another $100 super chat. I am going to go grab the Ben Riek, though, because now you guys are talking about it. Someone said it earlier, a second ago. Dave Brown said Ben Riek from the makers of Old Forester. Okay, I'm going to go grab the Ben Riek. Guys, give me like 60 seconds. I got to run to my basement. I'll be right back. All right. Thank you for indulging me. I wanted to grab my Bardstown Copita. It's been a while since I've used a Copita glass, so. All right, let me get... This table's getting a little crazy here. me clear a few things away. Okay. My goodness, huh? Dalton is weeded. Okay. Ranch Regulator is not. Both fairly young. Like a brownie batter, but not a sweet way. Bitter chocolate, maybe. Oh, yes. I'm trying to think if I have anything in the room that could compare to that. I know the craft taste you're talking about. I don't think I have anything in this room that could compare to that. It's a farmy taste that a lot of people call that like a farm note. Because it's kind of earthy. So okay. So let's check out this Bennuaine 10. So Paul sent me this a while back, in early days, and he sent me a bunch of just cool stuff in this box. And so Bennuaine 10 non-chill filtered natural color, 46% ABV. For those of you not into Scotch, if you want to bounce, I totally understand. But we're gonna get into this. Why not? Let's just go for it. Sarah's asleep. I miss her so much. I have not seen her very much recently, but she's asleep. So it's time to dive in. Okay. It's not that late. It's like 10:30. Why not? Bennuaine peated single malt. 10 years stated. What else do I need to tell you? I don't want to give the tasting notes. I don't even want to look at them myself. So I'm just kind of looking around. Okay, 46%. This one's got the UK sticker on it. Is this a 700 ml? Yeah. Dang, Paul. Fancy, dude. You sent me a UK bottling. Okay. Nice. I've drank this before, but I didn't keep a lot of Scotch in this room when I moved everything around, and so a lot of the Scotch went to the basement. The only things I really have, I just have a teeny little shelf back here of Scotch stuff, but it's just not that comprehensive. Let me look at the chat. Guys, I'm probably going to skip ahead in the chat. Sorry. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Paul said... Paul, you did not need to send me a $100 super chat, bro. What are you doing? Oh, my God. Oh, my God, man. Cohen, you're right. I need to get back into this stuff. Paul, thank you, dude. Jeez. All right, let's get into this Bennuaine. What was I just having? This Dewar's 27? Yeah, okay. So you can, the Dewar's 27, that Pollock Cortado, very obvious on the nose. I gotta parse this out. A little cigarette ash, kind of peat note. Almost like there's a little jamminess to this, like, oh, what is the bottle? I actually have it behind me. Glen Scotia 14-year Campbelltown, the Tawny Port 14-year that Glen Scotia did for the Campbelltown Festival a couple years back. There's this like brambly note to it. It's like this strawberry, let's call it strawberry jam, a little bit of like a rhubarb note. That's what I'm getting on this Bennuaine. With some cigarette ash, a little mossiness. A combination of like lemon and pineapple. Again, kind of like a granite note in here, a little industrialness. It's really nice. It's really nice. The peat fades in and out from the sweeter notes. Yeah, Paul says it's peaty. Yeah, yeah. Interesting balance on this Bennuaine. To me, the spice and the peat and it's 10 years old. It's a little bit younger. The spice and the peat kind of overwhelm like the foundational fruit notes just a bit. So it's like in an American whiskey or a bourbon, when I talk about sometimes spice notes being too, like it drinks overproof, but there's not enough body to support the spice notes. That can also happen with peat and spice as well on Scotch. So the body is not quite big enough to support the peat and the spice. Second sip better in that regard. But I like it. I really like it. Jeff says cigarette ash sounds tasty. Well, Scotch notes are a little bit different, I think. You know, it's like you have to immediately kind of shift your brain. Steam Face. This is a new name. Thank you for, I don't know if you've been lurking or, you know, but I appreciate you saying something here. I know you likely base your channel on bourbon American whiskey due to popularity of so many other channels, but in my opinion, you would do better as Scotch or at least more non-American whiskey. So I sincerely appreciate that comment. Because, you know, Scotch was my first love. And every time I go back to it, I realize like why it was my first love. I feel like I'm so behind on what's current. You're always going to be behind when you just return to something or get into it for the first time even. I actually started the channel thinking it was going to be only a Scotch channel, which is crazy. And then the American whiskey thing really became prominent for me. It's what I was most interested in at the time because of COVID, because of financial considerations. It's cheaper to buy American whiskey, and at the time, it was much cheaper before things inflated over the last 3 years or 2.5 years. But I've always wanted to make a return to Scotch and bring it into the channel slowly, because I don't want to shock. You know, you can't shock your existing audience too much, and even doing this on a stream right now, if I started the stream with Scotch, nobody would hang around. So, you know, you have to, I think, ease it in maybe. But the fact that we're 2.5 hours in means going to Scotch right now is not the worst move, because there's going to be a natural attrition rate for the amount of people in the stream anyways. Yeah. But I appreciate this because I think I like to really get nerdy on things. And sometimes that, like with an American whiskey audience, some people really like to get nerdy and some people really don't. And I think a Scotch or at least non-American whiskey audience, those kinds of folks typically like to be more nerdy in general than maybe an American whiskey audience does. And, you know, like I'm a young person doing this, and I totally respect that fact that a lot of American whiskey drinkers are more comfortable listening to somebody in their late 30s, early 40s, 50s talk about this stuff. There's more of a trust that they find from somebody that they feel like has more life experience. I completely understand that, and I think that's a challenge just any young whiskey enthusiast faces when they talk about this stuff to people. Anyways, I don't want to get into the weeds on that too much, but Brian, I love you, dude. I think you should make this a George T. Stagg 2020 channel only. Okay. There's I'm laughing so hard about this, but it's not going to mean anything to anybody that's not a musician, and not just a musician, like someone who studied classical music in school. Hildegard von Bingen, okay? Born in 1098 and died in 1179. Hildegard von Bingen, there's a lot of musicians follow this page on Facebook, and it's called like Health Updates for Hildegard von Bingen. And every single day it posts she's dead. She died like 1,000 years ago. And anyways, every single video I make, it's like George T. Stagg 2022. And I'm just swirling. Smells great. Drinks a little hot. And that's the entire video. From now to the end of time. It's such an inside joke. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Brian says subbed. Let me see what that page is. You guys can look it up on Facebook. Hildegard von Bingen health. Daily update on Hildegard von Bingen's health condition. 18,000 people like it on Facebook. And every day it says she's dead. And there's still... okay, they've missed some days. It's not quite every day anymore. But here, let me see if I can show you this. It's probably too bright for the camera to focus. Yeah. Let's see if I turn the screen brightness down a bit. There you go. Here. Come on, camera. Still focused on the Benriach bottle, which is great. That's what it should be focused on. Here you go. Daily update on Hildegard von Bingen's health condition. Scroll down. She's dead and overwhelmed. Can her February please calm down? She's dead. She's dead. She's dead. She's dead. That's the channel. George T. Stagg. Great nose. A little hot. Sorry, Amy, for the bots. I know, yeah. At least write a script, right? Yeah, Jared. I know, right? She lived pretty long. Considering the times. Peter says, Trev survived the live with the Sherry Bomb single malt flight I sent him, but in the end, they were not appreciated as much as they should have been. Yeah, some people are just... Like, I've given up hope on some people trying to get them into Scotch. I really have. Jonathan, what did you posted your... Oh, on TikTok. Peck Sings. I unfortunately have TikTok. Let me look for you. Oh, no. My phone moved my phone moved over my AirPods to my computer disconnected from my AirPods. There we go. Oh no, Amy sent a 21090 a flight of Peter. They hated all of them. Paul says, my 64-year-old palate is 80% of what it used to be. I trust young men and women for the superior palate. And yeah, women are supposed to have better. Is it that women are supposed to have better noses and palates, or is it just noses? I can't remember. But I always think that, like, oh my God, I'm like genetically at a disadvantage, you know? And so sometimes Sarah calls notes, and I mean, who knows how much of this is just her approaching it from a fresh perspective more often than every day or every other day. Like, you know, I'm drinking or tasting whiskey quite often. Or how much of it is actually a genetic predisposition to her finding these notes that I could never find, or just life experience, whatever. Either way, she calls notes, and I'm like, I learn a lot from the notes she calls, you know? But Paul says 80% of what it used to be. Matt Porter, Cam, let's see what's on that For You page. I don't even know what that means, to be honest with you. The first thing that just popped up is my friend Josh Jones, who's the principal percussionist in Kansas City. And now it's playing in my ears. So, yeah. And here's wine content. Here's McDonald's content. So, not great. I know what you're getting at, Matt. There's none of that. Yeah. Anyways, what was I looking up? I was looking up Jonathan. I was going to look up Jonathan, but my freaking disconnecting my AirPods. That's not fun. Let's see. There we go. Peck sings. There's Jonathan. I'll check this out. I'll follow right now. Okay, there we go. All right, let's see if my AirPods connect back again. Yeah, Jeb, I feel like you're right. They're probably 2 generations apart. Let's see if I can get my AirPods connected again. There we go. Cool. Let's go back to the jazz mix. Let's make this more relaxed. All right. So what am I sipping? Ben Riach 10? Yeah. Paul, thank you for this again, man. A little bit of a Cheerios note on this one. Steamface said, I think you underestimate the amount of Scotch drinkers looking for a serious but not snobbish view on Scotch, or perhaps I really am the minority. I think you're probably right. I think, Scotch suffers from the same thing that wine suffers from, which is just so much pretentiousness from people talking about it. And I really hope that if I could hope anything for Drums and Drams, it's that while I might discuss things in a very nerdy way, I might use either abstract descriptions or adjectives that may or may not make sense. I hope that even with those things that I don't come across as snobbish or elitist or whatever you want to call it. Because at the end of the day, man, I just hit drums for a living, play triangle for a living, whatever. So I appreciate you saying that again. Because I think that's a challenge for me right now when I'm researching wine, is trying to find people that talk about it in a way that doesn't make me just totally check out. And Scotch is this. I mean, I definitely understand the Scotch perspective, having consumed a lot of Scotch content. It just gets, it's like, you don't need 100 tasting notes. You also don't need to discuss it like it's this, I don't know, ivory tower or something. Let me scroll down. I think I missed something from Dustin earlier. I missed a lot of things, but I thought I missed something from Dustin. I'm looking here. Cam, what are your top 3 Scotches of all time? There we go. That's tough. I mean, I'm pretty uninformed nowadays, and a lot of top Scotches that I would probably talk about would be single casks. Like one that's not a single cask, my Glendronach 18 2017 release. Just lights out. It's so good. And similarly, my Glendronach, I have a 1995 19-year single cask, Oloroso Sherry cask strength. Just stellar. I got it from Astor Wine and Spirits in New York City. And other than that, the Campbelltown 14-year tawny port finish from Glen Scotia, just silly good. I think it was the 2020 Campbelltown Festival release. And I also have a Whiskey Chamber single cask bottling of a Craigellachie 14-year port finish, and that is just so good. Yeah, Jeff, can't forget the Glockenspiel. I posted this on my Facebook. Next week, I play 1 triangle note and 2 Glockenspiel notes all week. That's my week of work, which means I have a lot of time to do other things, I hope. Yes, Matt. Dude, I was like, what is this announcement going to be? When he was posting about it, and then it was this. Still, though, I mean, he was swagged up in his Steve Jobs get up. No, Jonathan, I don't think... I think... Man, that would be... I don't want to make a blanket statement that's going to, like, really not age well. But I think a lot of people... a lot of people that get into tasting things, they kind of learn what they're supposed to say, and a lot of it comes from a place of insecurity. Like, I think within 3 to 5 seconds of watching somebody talk about whiskey, something that I hold near and dear to my heart, you can really tell, like, if they're just spewing back stuff that they've heard that sounds right, or if they actually, like, fundamentally understand whiskey. I actually watched 2 channels last night that I found. One was Bourbon Drops. What was his name? God. Bourbon Drops. What is his name? I think it starts with an M. I'm so sorry that I can't remember his name. I reached out to him and I just said, I just want you to know, man, like, I just watched this video and you are so on point with everything that you're saying. Like, his understanding is clear. And the same thing with another channel, Whiskey is a Journey. I thought, like, I thought his production was great, and I thought he really kind of understood. I just respected what he was saying. I was like, you're with it, man. And I'm not saying that from a place of acting like I'm on high or something like that. It's just, you recognize it, and you're like, you get it, man. The reason I say that is because I think some people just know what they're supposed to say. They want to just sound smart, and I'm not talking about you in particular, you know, Jonathan, but just you can just tell when people are full of it. And I see that so much in my industry, in the music industry, classical music especially. I think there's a lot of similarities between classical music and, in particular, let's say Scotch whiskey, because it's a little more snobby. It's more regarded that way. So is classical music. You can see the bullshitters and you can see the real people. Oh my God, please get those bots. Yeah, thank you guys. But do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, Scotch gets a bad rap, in my opinion, because you have a lot of just, like, bad actors going out there and just saying a bunch of bullshit about tasting notes and everything else. There's no need for that. But a lot of people do this because of ego. Myron. Yes, I knew it. I knew it was an M. Myron does Bourbon Drops. I watched his video on the high rye Bardstown Origin versus the wheated Bardstown Origin bottled and bond, and I was like, dude, the way he described it was so in line with what I was getting from those. It was like, I just had to tell him. So, damn, Jeb, killing me. Not saying that. But relatability is important. Even when you're at a high level of doing something, relatability is the most important thing. And that comes from communication skills, education, a sense of, like, educational psychology, you know, all of those things. Sean Cloud, hold on a second. You mean this isn't a dating site? Yeah, I think that's cool, Jonathan, hearing new tasting notes and how that relates to what the whiskey has actually gone through. This is something that I'm actually not very good at, because you need to be in a distillery tasting the wort, smelling the grain, tasting the white dog after it's distilled. Those things are really informative. And I don't have that knowledge per se. And no one really has it for every single distillery. It's a little more easily accessible with wine, I think, because you can actually visit these places. You can walk the vineyards. You know, you might even have the opportunity to taste the fruit. Whereas with whiskey, it's a little less accessible in that way. Amy, let's get into it. Let's do the Octomore. I gotta find it. Give me 1 second to find it. All right, I found it. I'm just going to have so many dirty glasses. That's okay. I'm going to get another glass. Should I do a Copita glass or should I do the Luigi Bormioli glass? Octomore. Or should I do the flared lip? I don't know. Yeah, Jeb, bourbon is just different in that regard, but I think it's still important to talk about maybe like if you understand the effect of certain things at the distillery that are playing a part in it, but I think it's less important than wine. And particularly like terroir is much less important unless you're talking about like heirloom grains, like a Still Austin when they specifically cite that we're using these grains. Yeah, guys, go check. Hey, take a second right now and go give a follow to Bourbon Drops. I believe that's his channel's name, Myron's channel's name. And Whiskey is a Journey. Peter, I think Whiskey is a Journey. Peter, I believe, is his name. Go follow those guys. William Hall. You can walk the fields and chew on a handful of rye. Not sure what you will get from it. What is Cohen saying? Cam is speaking to Top Shelf Whiskey and Malt Reviews. LOL. They refuse to drink blind for fear of being shown up, and it's obvious those damn millennials. LOL. Yeah, I can't speak to either of those things, but malt reviews. I've read some malt reviews, some malt reviews, and I think if I remember correctly, I'm so not versed in that. I think they're very in depth, you know. Although I do like, there's a guy on, I'd have to find his name. He's like a big Daft Mill fan. I can't remember his name. He's a Scotch guy on Instagram. I read a lot of his tasting notes. It's really intense stuff, but it's kind of fun to read. But yeah, malt reviews. I don't know anything about malt reviews. Top Shelf Whiskey is Mike and Dustin, right? Or am I thinking of someone else? Because it got renamed. Isn't that right? Yeah, it's Mike, Winston, and Dustin. So I've met Mike. Mike's a really good dude. Never hung out and like actually drank with Mike, but I like Mike a lot. I've never met Dustin. You know, Dustin has said some not nice things about me in a Discord group that I've found out, and that's okay. You know, just more mash and drum, more stuff about me and copying mash and drum, which is, it is what it is. Never thought I would say that publicly, but it came up now, so I'll say it. He posted it publicly, and I would still totally meet Dustin, keep an open mind, and maybe we would get along and maybe we wouldn't, and that's okay. You know, the criticism of me versus Jason it is what it is. I'm so sick of talking about it, but yeah, I don't need to go down that rabbit hole anymore. Either way, Mike's a really good dude, and I've never met Dustin. And I don't know anything about malt reviews, although I think the guy at Malt Reviews is the one who created the Bennuaine glass, if I'm not mistaken. So I really, really like Scotch Test Dummies, though. Lido, 100%. Scotch Test Dummies and Ralphie, two channels that got me into this. Oh, Steamface, you suggested the Dram Report, which actually today I almost recorded an episode, the first episode of the Dram Report. I'm not even joking. About the Woodford thing, about the Woodford 700 milliliters and like the fact that, you know, they're going to convert to this size and still maintain their SRPs. Dude, I had no idea that. Did you have a different screen name at that point? If not, then I feel like an idiot. Roscoe, yeah, I'm not saying anything about Jason at all. I'm just talking, you know, people who have said things even publicly about me and just this criticism that I copied Jason. It kills me. So I'm working on releasing right now some performance videos actually on this channel and trying to tie it back to whiskey a little bit just to show people like, hey, I'm actually a professional percussionist, and I'm never going to say in a video that, you know, I'm trying to release this to prove to you I'm a professional percussionist. That's not the point. But I think people do need to see that so that they understand the channel name a bit more and don't think I'm just copying. Because it just kills me. Matt loves proper 12 Irish apple. All right. I look forward to trying it. Cohen. Okay. Jacob, this is pretty much accurate. Dustin, there is a secondary market for Scotch. It's not as crazy as bourbon, but I think, you know, the good stuff is marked up just like the good stuff for bourbon. Cohen, I need to meet you. I need to meet you. John, I quit. Okay, I got to get a glass for this Octomore. What am I gonna use? All right, I'm gonna go with this this Luigi Bormioli. The Octomore is high proof. If I need to pour this into a glass, the Bennuaine with the flared lip because of the proof, I will. But I'll start with this. I traditionally really like this glass for Scotch. So Octomore 13.1. I actually want to save enough of this to, you know, if I have the opportunity to make a video and review this, I would like to do it. So I'm pouring, I don't know, 2/5 of the sample. I don't know, 40% of the sample out of the bottle. So Amy, you might have to fill me in on the details here. This is Octomore 13.1. It's 118.4 proof, which would be 59.2% ABV. And it's 137.3 ppm. So we're talking about phenol levels here. And that's not the highest I have. I believe I have a 6.1. I have the remainders of some Octomore samples here from Uta Massey and Carl Massey. 7.1 and 6.1. The 7.1 is 208 ppm. 6.1 is 167, and this 13.1 is 137.3. So it's actually like remarkably lower than the other two. Light color would suggest all ex-bourbon aging, in my opinion. Amy, correct me if I'm wrong. Cohen says, someday I'll come back to Columbus. Remember, I'm a Worthington kid. Okay. Thank you for the reminder. A little snobby. There we go. You Worthington kids are a little snobby. You're like, but you're not as bad as the Upper Arlington kids. Matt Porter, turn that frown upside down, you beautiful son of a bitch. No frowns from me, Matt. Dustin, dude, bro, you don't ever have to apologize. Give me the most crap. No, John, don't be sorry, bro. You are friends. You are friends. Some people say these things and they are not friends, and they just continue to egg it on. And those are annoying things. You guys are cool. Don't worry about it. Come on. I know. Yes, if someone can give me a little more info on the Octomore 13.1, that would be awesome. 59 still in chat. 3 hours in. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Phil Collison says, Cam, I'm a drummer of almost 20 years now. Not familiar with your background. Would you be willing to briefly talk about that and maybe throw in a few pieces of your favorite gear? Cheers. Of course. Give me just 1 second. Let me check the rest of the chat here, and I will talk about that. Yeah, Dustin. Um, yeah, that whole thing. I don't. I'm glad. It's funny that you remember that, and some other people might remember that too. After that comment, he reached out to me, and I ignored him, and he's not going to get another word from me. He just apologized, and he can apologize. I don't owe him anything. I don't owe him a discussion about it. And he if he's watching now, I don't care. That's a person that is quite a bit, a decent bit my senior, who acted like a child, and he can continue to act that way. He can continue to produce content, and if you guys watch it and consume it, that's cool. Like, you can be fans of a lot of different things. The way he treated me did not remind me of somebody that had a maturity level that I want to interact with or accept an apology from, because I don't know him, and he can just stay in his lane. And so because of that, after that comment, I joined that Discord because I had been getting screenshots from people about things said in that Discord, and I've never been on Discord. I didn't even understand how it worked, and I went and I searched through it, and I found some very funny things, let's say. And I saw who said it. Even other whiskey tubers saying things about me. And I just, I left the Discord. I learned what I needed to learn. And it is what it is, It really is what it is. But, there are men of a certain age who do not act like men. They act like children. Amy, there we go. 13.1, age 5 years, ex-bourbon. Okay. So color suggests ex-bourbon. Straw color. Smoked ham on the nose. It's very meaty, but there's the meatiness does not overwhelm this, actually. I might need to have a sip to kind of get beyond it. Yeah, I'm going to have a sip very quickly. Wow, burnt meat. So much burnt meat on the palate. Oh my goodness. Get it out of the oven. Get it off the grill. That's what this is on the palate. Okay, so now back to the nose. A lot of these heavily peated things you have to taste first and go back to the nose and start to dig beyond the peat. There is a dessert note to this. A dessert. How do I want to say this? There's a Cool Whip note to it. Cool Whip. Kind of that white cake thing sometimes I talk about on bourbon, actually. There's not like the Bennuaine 10 has this like really grilled pineapple thing. This is not distinctly fruity in that kind of a way. It's much, much more savory. I just keep smelling steak. Honestly, I keep smelling steak. With like if you guys have ever had a steak with like again, I hope I don't sound pretentious saying this, like a porcini crust. Like that porcini mushroom crust on the edges, medium rare steak. That kind of a thing that you would imagine eating at a nice restaurant. That is actually what this whiskey smells like. Amy says it's like an old barbecue grill in a glass. It really does smell like that. It's starting as I'm getting more into it. It's getting this dampness to it. Earlier I referenced a damp note in one of the bourbons. I think it was the Nashville Barrel Company. It's like musty basement or something along those lines. This is more of an outdoorsy kind of note. Like, yeah. It's kind of like you're just... Yeah, I don't want to say petrichor. Like, I don't... Petrichor is a note that I think has a particular connotation. I don't think that's what this is. I feel like I'm walking along the beach. Salty sea air. That outdoorsy note when you're walking along the beach. That's maybe what I would say about this Octomore. But the predominant note here is just steak, burnt meat, you know, licking a grill. There's something fruity behind it. I don't know if it's pear. I think it might be pear. There's some note behind it. It could even be like a cantaloupe kind of note. There's this light fruit thing that I can't pin down. It's such a broad and kind of nondescript thing. And cantaloupe or honeydew, it could be honeydew. When you eat like cantaloupe and honeydew in a fruit salad, and those are the things you kind of avoid. You kind of want to get to the pineapple, the grapes, the cherries. Get the cantaloupe and honeydew. You're like, I'm going to pass. I'm going to eat those last because they're just whatever. That's what this note is. It's like a whatever fruit note in the background. Cohen. No, those guys are not. So Stan Smith teaches guitar at Capitol, and Roger Hines teaches bass. So I know the name Jeff Ciampa. I've seen that name before. Jeff McCargish, I don't know that name. William says, how do you get hungry watching a Scotch tasting? Yeah, you know, guys, look, I'm not trying to throw shade. I am not trying to throw shade anybody's way. I hope you know that I am honest to a fault. That is like my personality. And sometimes I say things that are not untrue, that are not exaggerated. I do exaggerate things sometimes. But sometimes I just say things that may, like on live streams or maybe in podcasts, and I've experienced this recently having to edit some podcasts of, you know, from 3-4 months ago, where I maybe said some sensitive things I shouldn't. 100% true things, but just maybe didn't need to be publicly said. And the issue with what we were talking about earlier with this particular Whiskey Tube creator and his Discord group, like, I'm not saying anything that's untrue. I have the screenshots. I could put them up if I wanted. I'm not going to do that. And the things that he said in the live chat of a live stream, however many months ago that was, he said them. He's got to own them. So if we're talking about him now, I'm not going to knock the guy beyond what is obvious, that it was an immature thing to do. He's a 40-year-old man acting like a 12-year-old. Those are obvious things we can all agree on. And I'm not going to attack his character beyond what is the truth of the matter, right? So I clearly these things do get under my skin a little bit. It's human nature. The fact that people say I copied something, it's human nature. I would openly talk about it on a stream with the person that is accusing me or the person that I'm being accused of copying. Like, it's not a big deal. But I'm honest to a fault. And if these things come up in the stream, I'm not going to just ignore them because it's convenient. It's like, why not? We just address them real quick, you know? Cohen has known Roger Hines for 30 years. He's an awesome upright player. Jeff taught electric bass. Jocko 2.0. Wow, I did not know that you know Roger Hines. Wow, man. Cohen. I got to know more. I got to put this into context, you know? Yes, Jeb. I mean, Grease is like the ultimate heel, but in the best way possible. I love it. I love the WWE thing. Oh, Derek, thank you, man. Good call, good call. So let me get back to that, guys. Let me get back to that. Sorry, I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be too bothered or too petty. I hope. I am drinking Octomore. I'm freaking keyed up on this Octomore. I'm ready to go. So, my background, real quick. You guys know I have no shortage of words. I'm sorry about that. That's also what enables me to make a YouTube channel. being able to talk to a camera. Phil Collison. So my background, first and foremost, was as I grew up listening to hair metal and country. Hair metal, my dad; country, my mom. I was a kid that grew up listening first. My first band that I liked by myself was Green Day. Then it was Avenged Sevenfold. Like I got heavier and heavier. Green Day, then Avenged Sevenfold, then Slipknot, and then I just went full death metal, black metal, like just the darkest stuff. Then in college, eased up, went into more jazzy, fusion, etc., etc. What got me into music is that a lot of my cousins played in the marching band in a very small town I grew up in for the first 5 years of my life before I moved to Columbus. Saxophone, trombone, drums, color guard in my family. So I played saxophone for a few years. And then a lot of my friends in middle school were playing drums, and I just wanted to switch over, so I switched over, and somehow I had this knack for drums. I didn't really practice saxophone. I just kind of fell away. I didn't love it. I had this knack for drums, and I pretty much surpassed, I would say, most everybody around me by the time I was like halfway through my 9th grade year. Something just clicked for me with drums. I don't know what it was, but it's the first time in my life I felt like I actually had a talent at something, and I just ran with it. And I was just purely a drummer. Drum set and marching drums, not a lot of mallet stuff until I had to audition for college. And I went to college only because I thought I would be good at drums. It was a skill set I thought I had. My other skill sets were math and Spanish. Kind of a strange thing. But I decided to go for music ed particularly, and so I learned some mallet stuff, got to college, studying music education, thought I was going to be a band director, eventually found out, no, I actually want to perform for a living, and so I changed up, spent all my time trying to get into this really, really kind of hard to get into master's program at the Eastman School of Music, made that happen, and then I kind of am doing what I'm doing now, which is solo percussion, recitals, concertos, electronic music. I also play in the Columbus Symphony Orchestra, and so that's kind of where I'm at. Few pieces of my favorite gear. So because I don't play a lot of drum set anymore, I only play drum set with the orchestra and a very few other settings. My favorite gear, I mean, I'm a Sabian artist, so I play Sabian cymbals. I love HHX stuff. That's my favorite. Artisan and HHX are my favorite lines. I play a lot of Yamaha drums. I also really like Pearl drums, but I play a lot of Yamaha hardware and drums. The Pearl Demon Drive pedal, love that pedal quite a bit. I actually have a Tama Speed Cobra as well for like metal stuff. And yeah, I think that's, I mean, I'm a mallet tech artist. I play mallet tech mallets, but I have always really liked Vader sticks, some ProMark, but I really like Vader quite a bit. So, yeah. Yung-Pei Chang is in the house. YPC. Nice thumbnail. Yeah, man, I already tasted the George T. Stagg. And I'm going to be recording a video like tomorrow or the next day on the George T. Stagg, ASAP. God, Tim Tam Slam. I have an Offerman in the basement. The Recharred Casks, I think is which one it is. I don't want to drink too much more tonight. I couldn't really compare them right now. But to memory, I mean, the Octomore is just a meat bomb. It literally just tastes like a burnt steak. I do not know Joel Johansson. I do not know that. And I don't know Roland Kirk either. Yeah, talk drums. There we go. Sorry, needed to get off the dark stuff there. Jeb did not like carrying anything to school. I always felt bad for people on the bus that had to take like huge instruments on the school bus and they had nowhere to put them. I always thought that was funny. Jonathan, I still listen to Slipknot, Iowa, and Volume 3 very often. I am very hip still on Slipknot. I'll tell you that much. It's just like a childhood thing for me. Toshi Bake, I try to avoid going like uber dark on this channel. I try to keep this a very positive part of my life. I do my best. Jonathan says, te gustas la música. Sí, lo me gusto. La me gusta? You know what? My Spanish, it's so fucking rusty. Anyways. No, I Toshi, I know, but, you know, darker than I want to be. Knowing this will wrap shortly, says Amy. Oh, Amy, don't be so presumptuous. We're going to be on until 4 in the morning. Just kidding. Be sure to tune in very soon for a crazy random blind flight for Cam. I'll ship out tomorrow. It's going to be next week, next Thursday night. Let's just do it next Thursday night. Cohen, all I play is didgeridoo and I haven't played in years. I tried to play didgeridoo for this piece called... Guys, if you have 30 minutes to burn watching a YouTube video, look up 8 songs for a Mad King. 8 songs for a Mad King. Okay? I'll look it up right now and make sure. It's by Peter Maxwell Davies. And just watch the first video by the Safa Ensemble. It's 28 minutes long. You can read about the piece. 8 songs for a Mad King. I actually had to play the didgeridoo in that just for like a very short period of time. You have to play all these crazy percussion instruments. There's a vocalist at the end. He breaks a violin on the floor. And you have to learn all these extended techniques. The vocalist does. It's like a small chamber ensemble. Percussion, harpsichord, piano, I think violin, flute, like some varied instruments, and then a vocalist, and you can stage it like kind of like theatrically or operatically. Some people that video, I think they use a straitjacket to symbolize the Mad King, but it's really talking about stuff from centuries past. Anyways, it's just phenomenal. It's a crazy piece of music, and I had to play the didgeridoo just a little bit. Tim Tam saying I have no idea. So I'm not on the Heaven Hill media list, so I'm not going to get a bottle of that. So the people on the media list have already received bottles of that. So if you know somebody whose palate you trust who is on that media list, check out their reviews. Like a lot of Instagrammers have gotten it. I've seen a lot of people over there with, you know, that 10 to 100,000 to 200,000 subscribers or followers on Instagram who have gotten their Bernheim barrel proof. But a lot of those people I don't think have good palates. And I hate to generalize about, like, what do they call it? Whiskey gram. But just a lot of those people just post pretty pictures and opinions. And you have no idea how their palate actually is. Or their relationship with the distilleries. And if they're, you know, if they're being honest. That's why I value WhiskeyTube a little bit more in terms of actual reviews, because you can actually see how people talk about it. You can see if they're perhaps lying or what you might read as people lying. And I don't trust whiskey grammars as much. And there's a lot of evidence personally I've seen to back that up, I do believe. Paul says another $100 for Super Chat for a Moby Dick cover. I can't do that now, Paul, but I guess I got to make this happen, man. I think, Jeb, this number is probably pretty high. Jonathan says, my receptionist today was a few years older than me. I had a playlist going, and I was so happy about it. It was all late 90s, early 2000s rock, grunge, alternative, so much talent. You know, a lot of that music is made fun of, and it's fun to make fun of, even for me. But look, dude, I mess with some Three Doors Down. Give me some Three Doors, give me some 3 Days Grace, give me some Third Eye Blind. Give me some Hoobastank, some Maroon 5, if you want to talk like rock alternative. I'm with it on that. That stuff was on the radio, like popular radio. I will take it. Si me gusta. So, Lito, you wouldn't say like lo me gusta, like I like it? You wouldn't say that? I don't know. So, a little bit about my Spanish. So when I was in high school, I actually maxed out. I skipped a grade of Spanish. There was like Spanish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spanish 4 was called AP Spanish, so you would take the AP test and get college credit. I actually skipped that level of Spanish. I skipped AP Spanish 4, and I went to Spanish 5 when I was a junior, so I was like 16. And it was a class of me and one other white dude, and then there were 5 native speakers from like Chile, Mexico, or Mexico. I mixed them up. So it was like 2 white dudes, me and this other kid, who ended up being the salutatorian of the class. Dudes from Chile, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Argentina. So a very big variety of actually native speakers with a lot of different inflections and accents. And I think primarily the Spanish that I was learning at the time was a combination of Mexican and Puerto Rican. And Puerto Ricans speak in a very interesting way, which was they drop a lot of their S's. It's kind of a lazy Spanish, and I really liked it. And the person who I was closest with in that class played lacrosse with me, and he was Puerto Rican. So we would speak back and forth all the time. And learning from him, I was just dropping S's and things. But I maxed it out my junior year. So my senior year of high school, I actually couldn't take any Spanish classes because I had already done it all. And they didn't have another level. And I don't think you could retake the class just to be in it. So when I went to college, I just didn't follow through on it because I had a year layoff and I kind of lost it. If I'm in a country or if I'm somewhere that speaks Spanish, like I can read the Spanish. And if there's a couple things I don't quite know, I can always figure it out and it's fine. But when we're talking about conjugating certain things, certain tenses, I've lost a lot of that ability, unfortunately. And particularly with speaking, yes, also with listening, but my reading is generally fine. Thank you, Amy. 100 more, 2 more likes to get to 100. Yeah, you wouldn't say. Okay. So, like with Spanish right now, because I just don't remember that much of it, when I think of it, I overthink a lot of things, you know? Lito, are you Puerto Rican, Lito? One of the great regrets of my life so far is that I did not keep up on my Spanish. And I think it would take me a couple of months to kind of get it back. Especially if I really invested my time in it. But I used to love the idea of learning a lot of languages. Very appealing to me. And now that I'm getting into wine, I'm like, maybe I should follow through on this with Spanish and then obviously French. I can't believe there's 58 people still hanging out tonight. Lito says, I am born and raised. All right, man. Yeah, my friend was, his name was Gabriel Quinones. So he played lacrosse with me, and he was always, helping me in Spanish class. Because, when you're in this level of Spanish 5, it was, like I said, 5 native speakers, two white dudes trying to figure it out. And they had us, like, you could only speak in Spanish in the class, and so you were also writing essays. It was like, okay, write a 500-word essay on this topic in Spanish. I had a lot of fun. I loved it. Argentinian wine, says William Hall. Yeah, Malbec, for sure. Malbec, Cabernets. $105 likes. That's awesome, Dustin. Roy says, have you guys seen the video of Prince playing solo guitar with Tom Petty and others for Beatles while my guitar gently weeps? Best ever. I have not seen it. I have not seen that. But speaking of Argentina, there's some crazy Spanish. Argentina, Costa Rica, and of course Spain. I can't get behind this vosotros thing. The way that people from España speak, I just have never been able to. It always just sounded goofy to me because I learned it from people that primarily were, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Costa Rican, But even saying yo as Joe, it never sounded right to me. Jab, that's funny. What a crazy, crazy whiskey that Octomore is. Any Octomore is crazy, So I have a 6.1, a 7.1, and a 13.1. And I think I actually had an 8.1, but I believe I killed that sample. A lot of 0.1s. Is there any relationship between the 0.1s with Octomore? Does anybody know? Lito says, yeah, the Z and C pronunciation is a bit weird. Yeah. Yeah, just and the S's, right? I mean, vosotros, Vosotros. Like, it's like a TH instead of an S. Always spooked me. Roy, this is basically preparation to be able to taste that. Maybe should I have a little nip of that to end this stream? It would be like this much. Ah, Scottish barley on the 0.1. Okay, I don't know about it. Yeah, Amy, it's crazy. Gaining viewers as time goes by. It's like, what are we even talking about? How bad I am at Spanish now, and drinking Scotch that tastes like burnt steak. What's happening? What's happening? The world works in crazy ways. Jonathan says, throwing this out there, Deldato Howell Mountain American Oak Carved and Grooved. I'm going to take a picture of the screen on my phone right now so I don't forget that, because that's quite the title. Here we go. Zooming in, and there we go. God, I know I'm so much whiskey deep. I just want to open a freaking bottle of wine now. You guys are... This is bad. This is very bad. I feel like I'm still with it, though. Like, certainly tipsy, but face is a little red. I'm getting in it, but truthfully, doing okay, all things considered, you know? Had a big dinner. Feel like I've kind of paced myself tonight, not been taking huge sips of things, and yeah. William says, makes me want to go outside and lick the grill to have some semblance of understanding. That's pretty much the only way I think you can relate to the Octomore 13.1. Yeah, Amy, I'm going to have to go. I mean, how many glasses? I think I've got 10 glasses in front of me, 9 on my kitchen counter from the other night. I did a huge side-by-side. I think that was last night. I did a gigantic side-by-side. I have no clean glasses. I mean, I do, but I don't know that I've ever had 19 dirty glasses at one time. I think I saw a press release about that. Derek, see you later, man. Thank you for hanging out this long. Yeah, the Octomore will sneak up and kick it. Kick my butt. I will. I'm done with it. I only had like, you know, 0.4 ounces, let's just call it. Bacon and lemon, that's great. Amy says you need 5 clean glasses. Hopefully by next week, Amy, they're clean. Actually, I'm crazy about doing dishes. So they'll be clean tomorrow. They'll for sure be clean tomorrow. All 19 of these glasses will probably be clean tomorrow. I can't believe you guys are still hanging out. I thank you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sincerely. I got some new Napa Cab. I got a new Napa Cab today. I got 3 bottles of it. I so badly want to open one of them right now. That's probably not a good decision. A final pour of the night. Going to Napa Cab. What is my life? Steamface, thank you. Thank you so much. And Phil Collins said thank you. YPC coming in with some heavy hitters here. I've been looking at, is it Heights? Heights Cellar? Again, forgive me for mispronouncing or not knowing these things. Heights Cellar. I've been looking at some of those on the shelf. Hunter Smith says, really loving this stream. I'm glad. It always feels goofy for me because I'm just talking to a screen. I'm essentially talking to myself. Lito, I'm so glad you were here, man. Heights says, okay, Toshi said it's right. Yeah. Man. Toshi, let me see which one it was that I just got. I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's nothing crazy, I promise you that. I've been checking out different like wine subscription things and clubs and trying to figure this out. So I got a Quinta da Falorca which is a Touriga Nacional. I have 2 bottles of this 2015 Quinta da Falorca Touriga Nacional, yes. But the Napa Cab I got today is Gard, G-A-R-D. There's is it an umlaut over the A? What is that? No. It's like a circle over the A. I don't know what that's called. It's a 2018 Gard or Gard Cabernet Sauvignon Grand Classé Reserve. 92 points from Venus. And I picked this up because it was $29 per bottle, and lots of discussion of dark chocolate espresso notes on the palate, which, you know, seems appealing to me maybe. Roy, I've got a Prisoner Cabernet in my basement. I don't have the red blend. But Gard or Gard? G-A-R-D. What do you guys think? Do you guys know this brand? I believe... actually, you know what? It's not Napa. Now that I'm thinking of it, it's a Columbia Valley. Yeah. It's not Napa. I apologize. It's Columbia Valley. I do have some different Napas in my basement right now in that kind of 35 range that I paid for them. Hawk and Horse Vineyards, which is not... Again, that's not Napa either. I'm just thinking Cabernet more broadly. Royal Prince. I just got a Royal Prince 2019 Napa. And I have something else done there. I can't remember what it is. Yeah. Yes. No, Toshi, this is it. This is the brand. Gard? When I was saying Venus, I was talking about the reviewer. I don't know if I was saying that right. Venus. V-I-N-O-U-S. Antonio Galani. Is that what it is? Gailoni? Antonio Gailoni? Again, forgive me, guys. You can see how new I am. But yes, Toshi, that's the brand. What do you think? Is there anything worth opening? Like, my basement, what do I have right now? I've got some Malbec. I mean, everything, most of what I'm buying is in the $25 to $35 range. I have a Prisoner. I do have the Prisoner Cab. I think it's maybe a 19. I have that Chateau Siran Margaux from 16. I have the Chateau Siran S de Siran, which is like that lower end, 2018. Yeah. You know what? I would open a bottle, and I would have a little sip from a bottle and call it a night if that's something that people are into. I have some things in the fridge, but they're going to be too cold. Just trying to preserve them, I suppose. Don't know the best way to do that yet, but I'm using a Coravin, and I'm putting them in the fridge, and that's the best way I know right now. I don't know this spot, Cohen. Carnardo? I don't know that spot. I'm going to Haus Frau Haven, which is in German Village, close to me, and I'm also going to Twisted Vine in Grandview, which Twisted Vine's actually a great shop. Better prices than Haus Frau Haven, close to me. But it's like, do I want to drive a little further and get cheaper prices? That's the... How do you pronounce this, Jonathan? I see this pop up a lot. Carter Cellars, Old Carter, they have... fruit sourced from this vineyard, but I don't know actually how to pronounce it. I've never actually heard it said out loud. Is it Toucalon or Tocolon or Tocolon? I see it all over the place, though. But yeah, the wine that I have open, like I have 5 bottles in the fridge open right now, which is too many. I know that's silly. I went on a freaking bender the other night. Not actually a bender, but I just opened too much wine. I actually spit most of the wine that I drink, which is good and probably much healthier. William, no, I haven't. I have not been using an aerator. I typically have, if I'm going to open a bottle of wine, I typically have a lot of time to sit with it. 85% of the time, I have enough time to really sit with it. Oh, why did that happen? Click the button. Young says, traffic out here in Arizona has been torture since Monday afternoon, even before dawn. Yeesh. We don't have a lot of traffic here, so thankfully I can't relate, but that sounds not fun. Jonathan says, I'll tell you who does the best stuff for the money, and it's unpopular, but it's Mondavi. And there's a pretty decent range of things, right, that they produce. Oh, Super Bowl and PGA week. I did not think about that. I did not think about that. William Hall. Yeah, I'm in Columbus, Ohio. And here's another place in Grandview. It's a good wine store. I'll have to look this up. Oh, Jonathan, yeah. Okay. Toshi, I'm going to take a picture of this, actually. Again, things on the screen that I will not remember unless I take a picture of them for tomorrow when I check out my phone. Preview the log 21, Cam, says Roy. Okay. All right, Roy. It's right here. So, Roy, can you give a little info on this in the chat? Ooh. There's not a lot in this bottle, so I'm going to be very careful about how much I pour here. Guys, this is a $5,000 Scotch, okay? Okay. I think I pretty much get one sip. And that's why I threw it in this this Copita, because it's going to be the best way to kind of funnel all of those scents. Tokalan, says Jonathan. Okay, Tokalan. So this is a Lagavulin 21 year, distilled in 1985. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Bottled 06, yep. And I know, like, again, I've seen this go for about $5,000 a bottle, which is basically Michter's 20 level. And Mike Winston from Top Shelf Whiskey, I know he's tasted this on actually a couple different occasions. And Roy sent Mike, Dustin, and I the samples of this. About 54% ABV or so. Okay. So immediately on the nose, the OBE, Old Bottle Effect, is prominent. So it's got that dusty note when a whiskey has just been sitting in a bottle for, 15 years or so. It has that note to it, which is really hard to describe. I actually don't know how I could describe that note. There's so much going on here. So 56.5%, says Roy. So typical Lagavulin, a lot of campfire ash on the 16 year. It's a really, in my opinion, full-bodied smoky peat. It's not as the peat is maybe not as industrial or like meaty as certain things. It's not medicinal peat like Lafroig. Meaty peat, you might think of Ardbeg, you might think of Octomore. Industrial peat, you might think of, I don't know, a lot of other things that are slightly peated have this industrial note to them, that graphite or not graphite, granite kind of note. This Lagavulin 21 year, I'm getting, like, the peat is there, but it's very in the background. There's a lot of grapefruit here, actually. Again, all of this is surrounded by this old bottle effect, this dusty note, which is a little different in Scotch than it is in American whiskey. But I get a lot of grapefruit. It's surprisingly fresh, like outdoorsy, kind of fresh earth notes. Yeah, and even like I got in the Bennuaine 10, like that grilled pineapple note. The Bennuaine 10 smells incredibly sweet now because it's just young. It smells very, very barley sweet, whereas this Lagavulin maintains that grilled pineapple, almost chocolatey kind of note to it, but it's not as sweet at all. Wow, leather. Like the interior of a leather car. Kind of smells like you just got into like an old car. I'm getting maraschino cherry in this. It's not like a super dark cherry. I would say maraschino's right on. I love that grapefruit note though. Yeah. Yeah, maraschino cherry, like strawberry preserves on this. In that territory, right? That kind of medium to medium light red fruit thing, but very, very rich. What am I missing? Let me see what Roy is saying in here. Mushroom and chocolate as well, especially on the palate. The chocolate I can totally see. Man, there's just Roy, there's a lot going on in this, man. Like I actually have never had anything close to this peated whiskey wise in terms of how many layers it has. It's really hard to believe. If I smelled this and you said this is Lagavulin, I would not believe you. I have no idea what. And actually, Roy, this is a good question for you. Like, what are the finishing casks? What kind of cask maturation is in here or blended in here? Like, to me, I could see there being a little bit like some sherry casks in here, but I'm actually getting some notes that remind me of port casks. That strawberry jam or strawberry preserve note reminds me of port casks, actually. In fact, like some of the notes in here remind me of like a Marsala cask finish. So, yeah. Do you happen to know what that maturation is like? It's sherry. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting. There's a lot going on in here, man. I did not expect this from a Lagavulin 21 year. Pure sherry, says Roy. Wow, pure sherry. Then it's done very well. Wow. I'm gonna take this sip. I think it's just gonna be one sip here. Ooh. Ooh, it's tart. It's sour. Oh, yes. It's actually significantly smokier on the palate than the nose would suggest. More of that signature Lagavulin campfire smoke. Oh, man. That is... I love that sour tang in this, Roy. I don't know if you get it. Wow. Here we go. Roy says, legendary Lagavulin, originally released in 07, and it's to be the last fully sherried release, we're told. Boasting 95 points on Whiskey Fun, this has become incredibly sought after. I'm looking at William Hall and Jonathan's interaction. One thing I love about like the love and hate about the live chat is that you just cannot convey tone online. That whiskey, Roy, is unbelievable, man. Oh my God. I wish I could take another sip tonight, but I've got to save this so I can make a video for it. Dude. What a great way to kind of like go from the Benriach to the Octomore and then to this. And now empty glass. I smell toast, like literal, like toasted bread. Like Nutella on toast with those strawberry notes, that smokiness. Man, that's good. That is just $5,000 Scotch. 100% sherry. Wow. It's crazy. I wonder what percentage of that is, first, second, third fill type stuff. I know this is a great comment. The empty glass smell is the best. Oh. Might have to get a room with this glass. My gosh. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. So, this is almost a 4-hour stream, and I can't believe it. And I also can't believe there's 52 people still hanging out. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. And to make a toast, I'm not sure if Paul Graham is still here, but to make a toast to Paul Graham, I'm gonna wrap this up with the whiskey that he sent me many, many moons ago. This Bennuaine 10 is going to wrap up the stream. Paul has single-handedly tonight murdered the super chats. I mean, totally killed it. I know Lito sent some super chats in and some other folks. And I apologize. I don't remember everybody that super chatted tonight, but I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for those who stuck around, who liked the video, everybody who subscribed, all that good stuff. I'll be back next Thursday night. You should see some content from me between now and then for sure. Hopefully some BTAC or Pappy 15 content. There will not be a Tuesday Taste Along on Tuesday. But next Thursday night, sounds like Amy's got a crazy blind flight in store for me. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Roy. Holy mother of Jesus. Roy, for the 1985 21-year Lagavulin, Lagavulin 21 year from 1985, bottled in 06. Released in 07. Roy, thank you so much, man. Cheers to you. Cheers to Paul for all the support. Cheers to everybody hanging out here tonight. Hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. And I'll see you live next week and hopefully see you on some videos between now and then. So, YPC, Yung-Pei Chang is still here. Young, thank you for the George T. Stagg 2022 for earlier in this video. Man, and the Thomas Handy and everything else you've sent my way. And you're the one that got Sarah and I hooked on Russell's 13. You guys are the best. All right, I'll see you soon. Toshi, I can't even, there's just too many people to thank. Lito, cheers, you guys.